Tristan. As it turns out, my little flower takes the matter of blossoming very seriously. Since our meeting with Sophie, the girl has dedicated herself to growing, as if she could nurture the power hidden within her until it becomes strong enough to spill out. When she first arrived at the Villa du Lac, she was all skin and bones, but after just over a month with the Rovers, the changes are already visible. She is still slender and small, but the sharp edges and skeletal frame have softened. Her pale skin has a warmer hue after working so much in the gardens, her cheeks plump and rosy rather than hollow and sunken. Weeks of proper rest have wiped away the dark circles under her eyes, and even her golden hair seems silkier than before. I tasked Amara with teaching her basic self-defense. I want her to feel safe and strong, especially while she cannot manifest her wolf to defend herself. I thought about training her myself, but after seeing her old pack's handiwork, I was not sure if she'd feel comfortable with a man in that kind of physical situation. Besides, Amara has softened up to the girl. She's developed a fondness for her that I did not expect, graciously taking her under her wing. Every morning at sunrise, she trains with her on the villa's patio overlooking the lake. Just because Amara likes the girl does not mean she goes easy on her. I insisted she start slow, with stretching and basic strength building first. Still, by the second week, Amara was teaching her how to get out of a basic chokehold. Perhaps that is also why I tasked Amara to train her. I trusted her to know when to hold back and when to push. From what she's reported back to me, the violet-eyed girl has taken everything Amara has thrown at her with grace and determination, moving past her uncertainty and fear to learn how to roll with the punches. Literally. Sophie has also started tutoring her a few times a week, teaching her the ways in which science and magic have shaped our lands. My mate visits her frequently in the seer's little cabin, often taking potted plants and vases of flowers as gifts and returning with baskets of cookies and other treats from Sophie. When she's not listening to Sophie's stories and histories or tending to the garden, she accompanies Lucy and Nico on errands downtown. She's learned her way around the Rovers' village, and when she walks through the cobbled streets, several pack members smile and wave at her in greeting. Apparently, she's developed a habit of bringing everyone flowers. When I asked her about it one day, she merely shrugged with a sheepish little smile. "I've never been very good at talking," she said, shaking her head in a way that made her long blonde waves bounce around her face. "But flowers can speak volumes. They have meaning, you know? I once found a book in my uncle's library about how flowers were used to send messages many years ago. There's a whole language growing in your garden. Sometimes I think I'm better with plants than with people. It's silly, but flowers I'm good at." She proceeded to explain that a begonia could be a warning, and rosemary is a sign of remembrance. Morning glory and ivy mean affection and friendship, and myrtle is a wish for good luck. One could even declare love with a red tulip and proclaim war with a tansy. I don't remember much beyond that, but I remember how the girl's eyes shone when she talked about it. We have not been close since that night when her mark glowed in the bath, though I can still taste her damp lips when I close my eyes. Perhaps that is also why I tasked Amara with her training and Sophie with her tutoring. I do not trust myself around her. I cannot tell whether it's the mating bond or just her. But being around her has become increasingly intoxicating. Her soft curves and gentle hand, her plump lips and their kind smile, her wide, haunting eyes full of secrets and sorrow and so much hope underneath it all. Soft and sweet as a petal. Sometimes I worry I'll lose myself in the scent of her, in the sensation of having her near me. Other times, when nights become cold and my thoughts of her grow hot, I feel as though I could crush her with how much I want her. On those nights when I find myself longing to have her by my side, I remember the scars on her skin. I think of the mark on her chest, and the notion of her pain is enough to make me burn in an entirely different way. Underneath it all, I can't shake a single foreboding uncertainty in the back of my mind. Is this what killed my father? The question scratches against my thoughts like nails on a chalkboard. This girl is the niece of an alpha I despise. Her past is shrouded in mystery, and even though Sophie insists she is essential for the future of the Rovers, and we must be patient, the questions are starting to pile up. There is so much we don't know about her and so much I don't understand. But for the first time, I understand why my father did not discover my mother's betrayal sooner. My flower could be poison, and I'd still fight to protect her. I'd fight for her with everything that I am, and it terrifies me. There's an almost primal need within me to see her safe and cared for, to see her happy. But my mother was once my father's fate. She was his wife and his mate, marked and bonded. He looked to her in the end when his treacherous beta prepared to strike the killing blow. My father had looked at my mother, and though he had every reason to hate her, there'd been no rage in his eyes. No anger. I was just a boy at the time, held back by the other pack members while Jacob won his wicked challenge. I'd seen regret on my father's face, but not rage. Not even resentment toward the woman who'd cost him everything. And when my mother's lover snapped my father's neck in front of our very eyes, she had just closed hers. She'd closed her eyes and wept without a word, and even though she and I both remained, my family died that day. I could never make sense of it, the way the fight seemed to just drain out of my father then and there. I could never forgive or justify what happened, but for the first time in my life, at least in some way, I think I'm beginning to understand it. "You're late," the girl says with a little smile as I step out of the doorway and meet her on the veranda, pulling me back to the present. Amara is away with Mark visiting another pack in an effort to maintain the peace. There's been no conflict with the other territories for a few years, but the rovers aren't exactly popular. Having a pack full of rogues means that other packs are constantly judging and underestimating us. That's why Amara isn't here. That's why, today, I'm in charge of training. I'm not as obsessed with punctuality as Amara, I grumble in reply. She looks stunning in the morning sunlight, her golden hair tied in a messy bun atop her head. Her cheeks are pink and flushed from the chilly early breeze, and her clothes. Her clothes are a fucking torture. Pastel blue leggings that hug every curve, and a matching sports bra that Lucy undoubtedly picked out for her. As I step onto the wide area covered in mats and workout equipment, I try not to think of the pit in my stomach I felt when I saw the girl's scars. And I certainly don't want to think about the mating bond or the fight between my father and his beta. Because the truth is that, even though I fear crumpling the little flower that is now growing in my home, she holds just as much power to destroy me. Maybe even more. Chapter 2. So, where do we begin? Tristan watches me from the edge of the veranda, stepping out onto the training floor. I try not to stare as he takes off his shirt. His tan brown skin looks almost bronze in the sunlight. Every inch of him is toned and taut, his messy brown hair combed back away from his face. "Did you already warm up?" he asks, and I nod. Honestly, I had to. I'd arrived early to training this morning, knowing that Tristan would be the one to work with me today. I'd been anxious enough that I started the exercises Amara taught me right away, needing to dispense some of the nervous energy building up inside of me. Tristan had put some distance between us since that night in the bath, and I couldn't say I blamed him for it. Things between us are complicated. But I can't deny that there is a part of me that longs to close that gap between us. It's like something opened up inside of me when he saw my scars and did not turn away. He was, perhaps, the first person in the world who'd ever seen all of me that way. My flaws, my faults, my limitations. And he had not condemned me for them. Instead, he just watched me much as he did now. No one had ever looked at me the way that he did. No one had ever touched me the way that he did. And the way that he kissed me. It still kept me up at night. "Why don't you catch me up?" he says, suddenly drawing my attention back. "What have you been working on with Amara?" "A lot of strength building. She says my balance is good, and I'm quick on my feet, but I need to work on my endurance. It's no secret that I'm hardly the picture of good health and fitness. Though my time at the Villa du Lac has had a significant impact on my body, I am still the smallest among the rovers. Scrawny and without a wolf, I'm at an obvious disadvantage when it comes to defending myself. Which I suppose is precisely why the training is so important. I was hesitant at first, of course, but Amara was a patient teacher. She knew just when to praise and just how hard to push, and though she could still beat me easily on the mat, she made me feel safe within my own body in a way that I'd never experienced before. Maybe it's not much, but it is stronger than I felt in my entire life. Amara says I need to learn to trust myself. Apparently, my reflexes aren't bad, but I question myself too much. I hesitate. She said if I want to defend myself, I have to learn to act more and think less, I tell Tristan. I don't exactly have a warrior's instincts. The corner of Tristan's lips twitch in the echo of a smile, and something flickers across his gaze as he surveys me. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I seem to remember a certain brave young woman who defended herself against the unknown with nothing more than a broken champagne glass. I wince at the memory, recalling how desperate I'd been to fight Oscar off the first time I met Tristan. Don't remind me, I say with a sigh. That wasn't brave. It was stupid. I didn't even know what I was fighting for. Freedom, he says softly, an old and tired sort of understanding washing over his expression. You were trying to fight for your freedom. Besides, not anyone can say they've drawn blood from an alpha son. You make it sound so grand, I say with a sad little smile. But that fight would have ended with broken bones. It doesn't matter what my motives were. The truth is, Oscar would have beaten me into the dust for what I did. He would be dead before he could lay a hand on you, Tristan says, and I'm startled by the sudden force behind his words as something brutal hardens his amber eyes. I believe him. There's a warmth pooling somewhere deep within me, and I feel my cheeks flush as he stares at me, unwavering and unyielding. I sag slightly when he finally looks away. Amara is right though, he says, shifting the subject. Most of your opponents will be physically stronger. So, you have to be smarter and faster. Let's see what you can do. We start with the basics, going over the proper posture and showing me how to use my hands to protect my face. I mimic his stance, feeling awkward and uncoordinated in contrast to his graceful movements, an effect I've become accustomed to after watching Amara train with me. Like Amara, Tristan is patient, repeating the moves until I get them right. Then it's time to put what I've learned to practice. I feel my heart rate quicken as we face each other to spar. Go on, little flower, he tells me, a hint of teasing creeping into his voice. Hit me. I lunge forward with a punch, and he effortlessly dodges it. Again. He shows me how to block his attacks, using my arms to deflect his punches and kicks. In the back of my mind, I can almost hear Amara's words guiding me. Breathe. You are a feather fighting a brick. You do not bend or break. Flow. Tristan throws a punch, and I duck underneath it. I feel a rush of excitement as we circle each other, and I spin around and deliver a swift kick to Tristan's side. He barely stumbles back, but surprise flashes across his eyes, along with a glint of pride. Good. We continue to spar, and I'm beginning to understand what Amara meant by using my small size to my advantage. He's strong and fast, and I know he's taking it easy on me. But thanks to Amara's lessons, I'm holding my ground, or rather, darting around it. It's a rush, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. As we move around the mat, our heat begins to build between us, and I have to focus to avoid glancing at the glistening sweat on his skin. He moves, and I counter, and it's a strange sort of dance that makes my insides tight and tingling. This close, it's impossible not to notice the way his body moves in response to mine. The way his biceps bulge as he throws a punch, the way his abs ripple as he twists his torso, muscles tightening and shifting beneath his skin. I feel a flutter in the pit of my stomach and nearly lose my footing as I throw a wide punch that he easily sidesteps. Easy, he breathes. Use your momentum with intention. He motions for me to come towards him, and I approach him warily, unsure of what he's going to do next. Let's try something a little different. He suddenly lunges towards me, and I try to block him with my arms, but he easily pushes me down, and we tumble onto the mat. Before I can gather my bearings, he has me pinned down beneath him, his weight trapping me under his body. You good? He asks quickly, and I nod, surprised by the pang of competitive frustration that stings my pride at being taken down so easily. Pride. Since when do I have that? Good, Tristan says with a grin before I can ponder the thought any further. Now get me off you. I struggle to move, feeling his weight bearing down on me. We're not arm wrestling, little flower. You're trying to use sheer force, and it won't work. That's an understatement. In a contest of strength, he could snap me like a twig. He shifts over me, tightening his grip on my wrist slightly, not enough that it's painful, but enough to make it clear that I'm not going to escape. Again, I hear Amara's instructions in the back of my head. When you can't use your fists, use your head. Literally or metaphorically. As if echoing her coaching, Tristan says, with your back against the ground, you don't have to worry about balance. You have a strong foundation. Use it. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, his words reaching deep within me. Don't hold back. Chapter 3. Don't hold back, he tells me. So I don't. I open my eyes, planting my feet flat on the floor and bucking my hips up with all of my might. Tristan jolts forward, thrown off balance. He has to let go of my wrists to use his hands to brace himself on either side of me to stop himself from falling face first. With his body leaning over mine, rather than pressing down against it, I bring my legs up and wrap them around his waist, hooking my feet behind his back. Then I push my right arm out from under him, my forearm pressing against the crook on the inside of his elbow, forcing his arm to bend and his weight to shift to his side as he loses his center, toppling again. As he's thrown off me, I use the momentum and roll over. As we roll and he lands on his back, I unwrap my legs from around him, letting my knees come to either side of his torso. Our positions reverse. Now I'm on top, and I can't help the spark of triumph as I look down at him. Good girl, he says, his voice low and breathy in a way that makes me want to wrap my legs around him again, but for an entirely different reason. Don't stop. Don't think about it too much, he says, his eyes burning into mine beneath his sweat-beaded brow. Come on, flower. What now? I have him pinned beneath me, but I know if I try and keep his hands pinned down the way he did with me, he'll easily overpower me. If I try and hold him in place, he'll wrestle out and knock me off him. So I lean forward, pressing my entire body against his so that I'm parallel to the ground and I won't lose my balance the way he did. I let all of my weight fall onto him and wrap my hands around his neck, my touch too gentle compared to the hardness of his body beneath mine. Now I squeeze. His eyes bear into mine, and I'm aware of every place where my bare skin rubs against his, hot and sweaty. Not bad, he says, but the teasing doesn't quite reach his gaze, which is far too intense for the lightness of his playful words. But maybe next time, don't warn your enemy before you try to strangle them. Just for future reference. I scoff slightly but don't pull away, my hand sliding further back around his neck until my fingers are tangled with his hair. You're not my enemy, Tristan Lyle. He quirks his head slightly to the side, looking up at me with a glint of curiosity. Aren't I? He asks softly, and I can't tell if he's joking anymore. I'm the Rouge Alpha, sword rival of the Banes. I kidnapped you from your home, stole you away from the only life you'd ever known like a thief in the night. I see it then for the first time, the guilt hidden behind his words. It never occurred to me that he sought me out to protect his pack. Sophie told him my future was linked to the fate of the Rovers, and it's become clear that he didn't claim me as his mate to satisfy his own desires. He thought he was doing what was best for his people, and while I'd worried that the choice weighed on him because of his reservations against the mating bond, I never realized he felt guilty over it. No, I breathe, shaking my head as the edge of my lips twitches into a soft smile. The Banes were never my family, and that place was never my home. What you stole me away from, you could hardly call it living. And now, he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Now I can see myself having a future in this place, among these people. His people. For the first time ever, I'm getting to know myself, allowing myself to want things and dream of things for myself. I'm finding a home. Now I'm awake, I say at last. His smile is a soft, dazed sort of thing. I wonder what he sees when he looks up at me with those amber eyes of his, filled with a quiet kind of wonder. I lean my face closer to his until I can feel his breath caressing my lips. My lashes flutter as my eyes flicker closed, and I lose myself to a sensation that feels foreign and familiar all at once, my body moving of its own accord, like the words of a song I've always known. This is a different sort of dance than sparring, and I feel myself tighten at the feel of him beneath me. He tilts his chin up, his lips brushing against mine, soft as a breeze. The phantom touch is enough to give me goosebumps, and suddenly his hands are on my waist, rough and calloused against the sensitive skin of my abdomen. My breath is coming in fast, and when I open my eyes again to look at him, his brow is furrowed, eyes narrowed as if struggling to physically restrain himself. He looks so beautiful, longing etched into every crease on his handsome face. His skin glistens with sweat, and his own breath is ragged. One of his hands travels down to grip me by the hips, his fingers digging into my skin in a way that's far from unpleasant, and he holds me in place on top of him like he can't decide whether he wants to push me off or pull me even closer than physically possible. "Now it's your turn," I whisper, and his eyes flutter open to meet mine, a silent question written in his gaze. I lean forward, so my face is beside his, my lips grazing his ear as I breathe the words back to him, "Don't hold back." He doesn't. Tristan unleashes himself against me, his mouth crashing against mine like a wave onto the shore, washing everything away until nothing exists but the two of us in this moment. His kiss is hungry, sucking and licking at my lips until my head is spinning, and I swear, in spite of the daylight, I see stars. His arm wraps further around my waist, gripping me tightly as I meet his passion, his other hand still holding my hips tightly against him. I feel him harden beneath me, and a little moan slips past my lips in between his kisses, the sound only fueling the fire that burns between us. The pain returns. I don't know if the mark on my chest is glowing, but I feel its power and recognize it this time as an icy shock course through me, but I push past it. "Not now," I silently beg. Pain and I are old friends, and I speak to it in my mind as if I could pray to it. "Don't hurt me now. Just wait. You can consume me later." The sensation persists, and a chill runs through me as I feel like I'm both freezing and burning alive all at once. "Please, just don't take this away from me. Not this. Not now. Not him," I think to myself, holding on to Tristan with a fierce and desperate need that makes me want to push back against the pain. But I'm getting dizzy, my breathing labored as the shocks of agony continue to spread through me, my chest screaming from the sensation. The last thing I see is Tristan's worried face as I pull away with a gasp, and everything goes back. Chapter 4. When I wake up, I'm back in my room. Tristan must have carried me up and tucked me into the bed. When I roll over with a groan, I feel someone shifting beside me. "Hey, take it easy, Flower," Tristan whispers. His worried expression comes in and out of focus, my head throbbing and my thoughts muddled. "I'm fine." I don't. Tristan shushes me before I can even figure out what I'm trying to say, his fingers brushing a strand of blonde hair away from my face with astonishing tenderness. "Save your strength, little one," he says soothingly. "We'll take it easier in training from now on." I shake my head, trying to get my thoughts in order. My tongue is leaden, and my head feels like it's been stuffed with cotton. He thinks I overexerted myself in training, but I didn't pass out from sparring. That's not. I start, but my eyelids are heavy, his voice growing distant. "Shhhhh, it's okay, rest now." I want to argue, I really do. But pain has a way of sucking the fight out of you, and exhaustion drags me under into a blissful oblivion. When I wake up again, I'm alone, and the light in the room has changed. Night is falling outside, the sky somewhere between gray and dark blue. Did I sleep through the entire day? I feel like I've been run over by a train, carrying a truck full of elephants, made of concrete. I rub my eyes, taking a deep breath as I struggle to gather my bearings. I look around the room, my gaze falling on a scribbled note on the nightstand that reads, "Gone to talk to the healer. Won't be long. Lucy and Nico are in the patio downstairs if you need anything. Wait for me." I smile slightly despite the nausea and dizziness. When he returns, I'll have to explain what really happened on the veranda. I rub the birthmark under my collarbone, glancing down at my chest with more than a little annoyance. It's not glowing, but I can almost feel it staring back at me, and I have to resist the urge to scratch it off. Whatever is causing these episodes, the crescent-shaped stain on my skin is only the mark on the surface. I get the sense that its power lies far beneath. I slip out from under the bedsheets. My head is pounding and my throat feels scratchy. I need some water. I need fresh air. I need this thing inside me to calm down and stop hurting me at the absolute worst possible moment. I can't keep pretending the timing is a coincidence. This power, this pain, it's triggered by my closeness to my mate. It frightens me to think of what that might mean for our future, but maybe we can figure it out together. I'm still wearing the workout clothes Lucy picked out for me, and I toss on a white knitted cardigan and some slippers before heading out of my room. I'm not sure if I want to go to the kitchen for a glass of water, to the patio to talk to Lucy and Nico, or to the gardens for some peace of mind. But I need to move. My body is aching for it, and staying still means being alone with my thoughts, and right now, that's not a good option. I've done as Sophie advised, but I'm still no closer to figuring out where I come from and how my past ties into this cursed mark. Maybe I should tell her about the voice that called out to me at the lake, but it's been weeks and the strange memory has started to feel like an even stranger dream. How can I fix whatever is broken inside me if I don't even know what it is? Against my better judgment, I find myself walking toward the back door on the ground floor that leads to the little path by the lake. The pain has been getting worse the closer Tristan and I become, but the more time passes, the more I want him. I need answers, and I don't know where else to find them. It's still early in the evening, but there are a few stars glittering in the night sky as I head down the cobbled path. Hello. I call out into the darkness once I'm close enough to see the moonlight shimmering on the surface of the lake. Silence. I continue down the path, going further and further away from the villa. This time when I call out, I do so with my thoughts instead of my voice, my mind going still as I focus on the words. Can you hear me? Nothing. I stand by the edge of the water for a few minutes, starting to feel foolish. Maybe I really did imagine the whole thing. It was dark and windy that night, and maybe my mind had been playing tricks on me. I'm just about to turn around and head back to the path toward the villa when a voice cuts through the blackness, echoing in the back of my skull. Hello, child, it says, deep and husky. A chill runs down my spine, and I go completely still, my heart thundering. Flower of night. I hear you. Come closer to the water. The veil is thinner farther from the fortress. I don't move. Something is different this time. The voice is louder and clearer. Last time it had been a whisper on the breeze, melodic and unexpected. But this time, it's sharper and I can't help but get the sense that whatever is out there, it's been expecting me. What veil? Where are you? The spell, child. A witch's fire burns in the hearth of your home. It shields you from me. But I see you now. The spell. I feel like my blood has turned to ice in my veins as I'm struck by a sickening realization. The Villa du Lac is enchanted to maintain itself. But what if the magic isn't just about cleaning and caring for the grounds? What if the spell protects the villa, just as the former Alpha once protected the witch who cast it? If the Villa du Lac is warded by the enchantment, that would explain why someone from outside the pack wouldn't be able to reach into it telepathically. Anything dark or foreign would be kept out by the spell's shield. Not to mention that while the Rovers' village is quaint and comfortable, it's well guarded and regularly patrolled. There are plenty of other wolves that might sense a strange and unknown presence there. So this presence, this creature, it couldn't sense me within the house, and it couldn't reach me until I wandered farther away from the pack and the village. It's been lurking in the shadows, waiting for me. Who are you? How can you mind link with me? I demand, taking a shaky step back in the direction of the villa. You're the daughter of moonlight and monsters, blood of my blood. I am the betrayal you were forged by. I clench my hands into fists with a flicker of irritation. I'm scared, angry, desperate, and confused. I'm in no mood for games. Enough riddles. What does that mean? Who are you to me exactly? There is a pause, but I find no comfort in the silence. There are no crickets chirping, no leaves rustling. The night has gone deathly quiet, as if the world were holding its breath, and the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. Something is not right. The voice sounds too clear, the presence too near. It's here. When the voice speaks again, it's no longer in my head. It's real, and it's coming from right behind me. Sweet girl. I've finally found you. Chapter 5. The creature standing behind me is neither man nor shadow. His skin is pale as the sea foam, almost translucent in the moonlight. He looks like he could be in his 40s, but there's something ethereal and ageless about him that makes it difficult to say for certain how old he is. He wears a fine, sleek black suit that literally melts into the shadows around him as if he were made of the night itself. His hair is long and light, but where mine is golden blonde, his is an almost silvery shade of platinum. But his eyes are not blue like my uncle's, nor amber like Tristan's, but rather a deep, vibrant shade of red. I suck in a breath. How did he get so close to me? What is he? What does he want? And why is he looking at me like I'm some sort of treasure? This territory belongs to the rovers, I warn, but I don't sound nearly as confident as I'd hoped. I am the Alpha's guest in these lands, and you are trespassing onto them. The man clad in darkness is unbothered by my statement, and he glances up at the villa with a detached sense of boredom. I do not answer to the rogue king, he replies simply. And I do not bow to the rules of wolves. No, I don't suspect that he does. Whatever this creature is, he's not something I've ever seen before. So why are you here? Why have you been looking for me? I ask, taking a small step back in the direction of the cobbled path. Maybe if I can get back to the villa, the enchantment will shield me again and keep the man, or whatever he is, out. But if I'm going to try and outrun him, I have to get a head start. I have to keep him talking long enough for me to get as close as possible to the heart of the spell. Otherwise, I won't stand a chance. I didn't even know you existed, the man says, and now that he's speaking to me here in person, I can make out the details in his voice. It's low and lilting, and there's a sort of awe behind his words as he looks at me, as if he can't quite believe I'm real. As if I were the stranger that just mysteriously appeared out of the shadows and not him. He watches me with a ferocious sort of elegance, and I take another small step back. I did not even think it was possible, but when I sensed you the other night, I knew. I heard your thoughts, and I tracked your scent, and I knew who you were. I could feel it down to my very bones. I thought your mother died before she gave birth to you. But there you were. My foot lingers mid-step, and I feel a chill creep up my spine. If there was anything he could have mentioned to make me hesitate, it was that. You knew Vanessa Mawson? You knew my mother. Impossible. He smiles with a fondness that feels misplaced from a stranger, the shadows seeming to shift in response to his movements, rippling as he takes a step closer to me. Mawson, he repeats the word as if testing it out on his tongue, his expression turning sour. I have not heard that name in a very long time. Vanessa always hated it. She was the proverbial black sheep of the family, too soft and sweet to belong among those hounds. Especially her brother, Victor. This man knows my uncle. I swallow hard, planting my feet back on the ground. I should run for the villa. I should call out for Nico or Lucy. I should try and get away from this stranger. After all, Tristan will be back soon, and he told me to wait for him. God, I want to. I want to be there when he returns. I want to kiss him and help him look after the pack. I want to take him into my bed and let him see every part of me, and I want to taste every part of him. I want to make this place a home by his side. More than anything in the world, more than I've ever wanted anything in my entire life, I want to be with him. But I can't do any of that without answers. There's too much I don't know. This mysterious man, the cursed mark on my chest, the madness that killed my mother, the color of my eyes, my suppressed wolf, the pain that consumes me when I try to get close to my mate, these aren't things I can just walk away from. I cannot build a future with Tristan without understanding my past. And this stranger, with his crimson gaze, looks so unnatural and ethereal and yet painfully familiar. I recognize that slender, rounded nose and long neck, those high cheekbones and diamond-shaped jaw. I've seen those features staring back at me in the mirror my whole life. The realization creeps up on me slowly. It does not hit me like a wall or suddenly become clear like a light switching on. It's slow and gradual, like spilled ink soaking into parchment, his world scratching at the back of my mind. I see you, child, and I know you at last. Come home to me. Blood of my blood. How did you know my mother? I ask, but there is nothing curious behind the question. It's a demand, and I can't help but feel a flicker of pride at the command in my voice and the steadiness in my gaze as I look back at the shadowy stranger. Finally, I'm holding my ground. No more games and half-answers. Tell me who you are. Little girl, you already know, he says, and deep down I know he's right, but I still feel my eyes widen in disbelief when I hear the words spoken aloud. My name is Marco Silas, child, and I am your father. He extends his hand to me, not in greeting but as if offering to lead me away into the night. Before I can even consider taking it or even process what he's saying, the shadows behind him shift again. Quick as lightning, he moves, and I swear I catch a glimpse of glistening fangs hiding behind his smile. But then suddenly, I can't see the man anymore, and instead, I find myself surrounded by a swarm of bats. A velvety blackness envelopes me, accompanied by the fluttering of leathery wings, and a bone-chilling sort of cold consumes me and drags me into the dark. Chapter 6. Tristan. As I walk up the front steps of the Villa du Lac, I can hear Nico and Lucy chatting happily on the patio, and in spite of my concern, I smile to myself. It's been wonderful to see my inner circle open up to the girl with violet eyes. Well, except for Mark. But then again, he's always been a stubborn bastard. The last time I saw the girl, she had passed out from training, and I can't help the nervousness that's been gnawing at my insides from the moment I felt her go limp in my arms. I keep replaying the image of her pale face, her body crumpling on top of mine, her gasp shallow in the back of my mind. It had been a relief to see some color return to her cheeks, her breathing steadying as she slept in my bed. I know I shouldn't worry too much. Goddess knows I have enough trouble on my plate leading a pack of rogue wolves, but there's something about this girl that draws me in like a siren song, and her recent symptoms have been a thorn in the back of my thoughts. I can't shake the feeling that there's something more sinister at play, something greater than exhaustion or even overexertion while sparing. The mysterious crescent-shaped scar over her heart has been haunting me. The way it glowed as if there were moonlight trapped under her skin was unlike anything I've ever seen before, and if that power was draining her, as if it were sucking the strength out of her somehow and causing her pain. I didn't know what I could do. This was not a foe I could fight or even face, and the notion of her suffering twisted my insides in a way that made me feel feral and helpless all at once. It was fucking miserable. I quickened my pace through the villa, making my way to my bedroom. I left the little flower sleeping on my bed, and I don't want to wake her if she's still resting. On the other hand, she's been sleeping all day, and I need to make sure her condition did not worsen. It was hard enough to leave her alone to speak to the healer, but I had to try. I needed to see if there was anything he might know, or if Sophie had any new visions that might be of help. But no such luck. I sigh and pinch the bridge of my nose, trying to ease the tension that's been building up inside me for hours. It's strange to think that the girl has such an effect on me. She's grown on me more than I expected, becoming important to me in a way I could have never foreseen. There are moments when it unsettles me how much I've come to care for her in such a short period of time, but then I think of her scars and her smile, and something inside me simply shatters. Her quiet resilience in the face of such suffering is astonishing, and there is something so gentle and optimistic about her, like she could see the best in even the worst of situations. It makes me want to be better, to give her something truly good to see when she looks at me. Mating bond be damned, I want to make her happy. I want to keep her safe and care for her, and perhaps it's time I stopped acting like that's such a bad thing. I take a deep breath and push open the door, my eyes immediately searching for my little flower. But the bed is empty. The first thing that hits me is fear. The sun has since set, and darkness has enveloped my kingdom. I know she's not familiar with the territory yet, and if she wasn't feeling well when she wandered out, she could be hurt. I make my way methodically through the villa, checking every room and corner, hoping to find some trace of her. But there's no sign of her, and my worry sharpens into something more dangerous. Panic. My mind races with possibilities, each worse than the last. Nico. Lucy. I call out and they rush to my side, detecting the urgency in my voice. What is it, boss? Where is she? I don't have to say who. The two of them exchange a startled look. We thought she was still sleeping in your room, Nico says with a confused frown. Well, she's not, I growl. Find her. My order lingers in the air as I push past them, and I reach out telepathically to Mark and Amara. Come back. Now. My mate is missing. I can feel their concern echoing back to me as they sense my own distress, but I push past it. I need to focus. I need to find her. From then on, everything happens quickly, almost on autopilot as a pure and protective instinct takes over. Lucy reaches out to other members of the pack, organizing a search party with a sort of speed and efficiency that shouldn't be humanly possible. Nico is searching the woods fast as an arrow flying through the air. My beta and his mate are running back to the villa at this very moment, searching the surrounding territories as they circle in around the border. I catch her scent on the ground floor and follow it to the cobbled path out back. Shit. I follow it down to the lake, where her trail vanishes as if she disappeared into thin air. I wade out into the bank, eyes scanning the dark surface, but there's no sight of her. I trudge in deeper until the water is up to my waist, calling out into the blackness. No answer. I don't know how much time passes, with my pack scattered in the wind in search of my mate while I look for her in the lake. Eventually, Nico skids to a halt by the edge of the water, his reddish fur rising and falling steadily as he pants. Where is she? I ask, walking back to meet him on the shore. We've searched everywhere, he answers through the mind link. Mark and Amara are patrolling the borders, but there's no trace of her scent. Lucy is in the village with other pack members, and even Sophie is out looking in the woods. No visions yet, but we're hoping she'll be able to sense the girl. I don't understand. She wasn't feeling well. This morning she could barely stand, and I left her sleeping in my own bed. Where could she have gone? That's just it, she couldn't have made it far on her own, especially not without leaving a trail. We're searching across the territory, but there's no trace of her. If she were still in the kingdom, I'd be able to track her. I clench my fists in frustration. Did she leave of her own accord? Did someone help her? Or was she taken by someone? Or something? It doesn't make sense, Nico thinks to me, his ears twitching anxiously. How could she have gotten out of the kingdom without someone noticing? She didn't go anywhere, I growl at him, harsher than I intended. She had no reason to escape. She wasn't a prisoner here. You're not my enemy, Tristan Lyle. I will never run away from you, my king. Her voice echoes in the back of my head, solidifying something inside my chest. She promised, I whisper, and my voice cracks under my breath. Okay, so what happened? Do you think someone kidnapped her? Nico asks, and my blood boils at the thought. Any feeling of betrayal or hurt is quickly overridden by a wave of fury. If she broke her promise to me, I'll find her. But if someone took her from me, I won't just find them. I will burn them to the ground. And heaven forbid if someone hurt her. I'll tear the whole damn world apart. Keep searching, I say, my tone dangerously low. We won't stop until we find her, Nico replies before darting back off into the shadows. No, I won't. No matter how long, no matter what it takes, I will not stop until I bring her home, or I can be sure that she is safe. Until then, I will not stop. I will never stop. That is my promise. Chapter 7. When the darkness unravels around me, I don't know where I am. I don't know how I got here or how I will ever get back. But I know things will never be the same. The swirl of leathery black wings and shadows consolidates into a cloud in front of me, solidifying back into the form of the red-eyed man. My father. I could pretend that I don't believe it. I could tell myself that I'm in shock and that this stranger might very well be lying to me. But it would be a cruel joke at best. The truth is, I knew who he was the minute he mentioned my mother. I saw it written on his face that resembled mine, felt it in the back of my mind the same way his voice had echoed there. It made sense, really. This was the reason I could mind link to him. It's the reason my eyes are violet instead of blue like my mother's and my uncle's, the crimson undertones marking me irrefutably as something different. Because whatever this man may be, he is not a wolf. Apologies, child, but I had to get you out of the shifter's territory. Crossing another king's border can be a delicate affair, even without having to worry about the sunrise. Besides, I wouldn't want to risk a rogue interrupting our reunion. Reunion? I nearly snorted. Tristan felt guilty about taking me from my old pack, saying that he'd kidnapped me. But my mate had offered me his hand. He'd offered me a choice. This is something entirely different. I scan my surroundings, searching for anything I might be able to use as a weapon, trying not to remember the way broken champagne glass bit into the skin on my palms what feels like a lifetime ago. I'm standing in what appears to be an empty throne room. We're inside a castle, not just a villa or a mansion, but a proper stone pillars, towers, velvet drapes, princess-worthy castle. What are you? I ask under my breath, staggering back from the man who now watched me with a curious, almost cat-like gaze. "I am Marcos Silas, King of Night," he says, lifting a hand to his chest before bowing gracefully. More like the king of ambiguously unhelpful answers. I frown at his words, noticing the way darkness follows his every movement, as if his shadow is a living thing that clings to him like a cape. "So, you're an alpha of sorts?" The man's brow furrows in distaste, but there is a twitch in the corner of his lips that hints at amusement, as if the notion itself is laughable. "Of sorts," he repeats. "Packs are for wolves and covens for witches. What I lead is a clan of Nightwalkers." Nightwalker? The word tugs at something buried deep in my memories. A hushed word whispered with great urgency, a scary story meant to keep children from misbehaving. But that sort of monster is more commonly known by another name, and I can't help but take a small involuntary step backward, my jaw hanging loose in shock. "You're a vampire." Again, his lip twitches, and he folds his arms across his chest with an almost predatory sort of patience. "My kind and I have been called many things. That is one of them. But tell me, child, what shall I call you?" The question shouldn't take me by surprise, but it does, and the insult of it cuts deep. I know it was unreasonable to expect this man to know my name. He told me himself that he thought my mother had died before I was born. Until recently, he did not even know I existed. Still, there had been a small part of me that had hoped, and it's now crushed with such a sudden force that it nearly knocks the wind out of me. "Nothing," I reply coldly, my voice barely above a whisper. "You should call me Nothing. I have no name. My mother lost her mind before giving birth to me, and she died shortly after. I was born with nothing. You left her with nothing, and she died insane and alone. I was never given a name." Surprise flashes across his scarlet eyes, and it looks unnatural on his sharp features. "What are you talking about?" he asks, taking a step toward me. "My dear child, I did not." "I am not a child," I snap, a sob cracking my voice, and when he moves to close the distance between us, I push my hands against his chest, shoving him back. "I stopped being a child long ago, and I am certainly not yours. You don't know me. I don't even know me. You have no idea what I have been through because you weren't there. I don't know what you did to my mother, but do not think for a moment that it makes me yours." "What I did to your mother," he replies sharply, anger burning behind his bloody gaze, "was love her. I adored Vanessa. Many years ago, when your uncle was still an overly ambitious young man, he sought to secure himself as the next alpha of the Banes. He sent out scouts high into the mountains, farther than any wolf in their right mind would have ventured. He was looking for power, trying to prove his worth as a future leader. What he found, instead, was me." Something darkens in his expression, and I do not dare interrupt him. Honestly, I'm not even sure I want to. I'm horrified and furious and heartbroken, but I'm finally getting some answers. My people had lived in peace for centuries, thriving in the shadows of secrecy, but your uncle and his squadron discovered my kingdom. Victor did what Victor does best. He caused trouble, foolishly believing he could wield the strength of my clan for his own purpose and take over my kingdom. But when he realized he'd picked a fight he could not win, he abandoned his petty little battalion and fled. My Nightwalkers killed every single Bane that stupidly tried to take our own home from us. Only 2 wolves survived the battle: Victor, who turned his back on his men to save his own skin, and his sister Vanessa, who'd been unwillingly dragged into your uncle's schemes. I knew there had been conflict before Victor became alpha, but from what I'd heard, everyone believed it had been against another pack of wolves. Victor had covered up the truth of his encounter with the vampires to conceal his failure. Knowing my uncle, he probably spun it into a tale of heroism, claiming that his team had been attacked by rogue wolves or some other villainous pack. When he became alpha, he certainly would have had the resources to bury the truth, turning himself into a brave warrior for the pack, and the Nightwalkers became little more than legend. Right now, none of that really matters. I've always known the length to which my uncle is willing to go for his own selfish gains, and it's no secret that my knowledge of my own world and the people who inhabit it has been limited at best. I'd been wrong about the Rovers being a bunch of rabid rogues, and I was wrong about the existence of vampires. I'll add it to the growing list of things I feel clueless about in my life. But Vanessa, I've never known my mother. and that I cannot ignore. What did you do to my mother? I ask, my hands clenching into fists. I let her go, Marcos replies calmly, resentment crinkling the corners of his eyes. Vanessa was kind and wise, and she tried to warn Victor against his suicide mission. She was not like the others. She neither feared nor fought the things she did not understand. She was merely fascinated by them. Something soulful and sorrowful washed across his elegant features, and his gaze was distant, blurry with affection and regret. We wrote to each other throughout the years, even after her brother became alpha. She was such a loving, lonely woman. I did not realize I was falling in love with her until I found myself dreaming of her during the day and longing for her every night. I did what I swore I'd never do, and I left my lands to sneak across the territories to visit her. A forbidden affair between a wolf and a nightwalker. My mother was never marked. She never mated with a male. She couldn't. A vampire's bite would be fatal to a werewolf, so even if my father loved her as he claimed he did, he could never mark her. And the offspring of such a union would be the hybrid of two enemy species. I've never fed on blood, but I've also never shifted into my wolf form. Neither one nor the other. Tears sting my eyes, and I take a shaky breath, feeling the fight drain out of me. It turns out my uncle was right. I'm a half-breed mutt, after all. Chapter 8. I thought uncovering my past would make things easier. I thought I'd discover why I was different and unlock my wolf. I thought I'd find my name at last. But for each answer I've been given, a new question is already forming. I sensed it when the Wolf King brought you into his kingdom, which borders mine. I sensed you, and I did not know what it meant until I got closer, and I smelled your mother's blood flowing in your veins. Fate has given us a second chance, sweet girl. You can't just swoop into my life like that out of nowhere. My voice trips over my own words, my breathing ragged as I stutter in a sad attempt to express what I'm feeling. You can't swoop in with your riddles and your secrets and your bats. Do you have any idea what it's been like? Do you even know what it was like for my mother, all because of you? Marco frowns, hurt flickering through his blood-red gaze once again. I loved your mother more than I have ever loved anything in this world. I adored her, and I never wanted anything but joy for her. I knew I could not be her mate, but I wanted her to be my queen. So why wasn't she? I ask, tears stinging my eyes as my voice rises. Why weren't you there when she got sick and lost her mind? Where were you when her pack turned against her for having a bastard freak? Where were you when I had to grow up without parents? Don't stand there and tell me you wanted my mother to be your queen. She never got to be, and I was raised without an ounce of love. I wasn't even given a name. So where were you? There is more anguish than accusation behind my words, a desperate sort of sorrow washing over me and threatening to pull me under. Marco closes the distance between us as a sob breaks out of me. Where were you? I ask again, and I slam my hands against his chest, shoving and hitting with all my strength. But I may as well be fighting a wall. He stands there and takes it, unyielding against every blow until I'm panting in between my tears, and I no longer have the strength to push him away. I'm sorry, my sweet princess, I'm so sorry, he says softly, his tone soothing. When he wraps his arms around me, it's all I can do to collapse into his embrace. Your mother feared Victor would wage war if he found out about our affair. She wrote to me about you and formulated a plan. She would fake insanity, acting like she'd lost her mind to cover up the truth from Victor. Her brother would have killed her if he found out she'd slept with a vampire, and she could not risk involving someone else in the deception in case he uncovered the lie. The only way to spare herself was to say she did not remember who the father was. Vanessa was never insane. More tears spill over my eyes, streaming down my cheeks at the revelation. My father was not some monster who abandoned us, and my mother was not a deranged madwoman. They were just brave, broken people who'd loved each other against all the odds and had lost everything in the process. How could something so pure have gone so terribly wrong? She pretended to lose her mind to cover everything up, so no one would ask questions if she started acting erratic or showing strange symptoms, Marco went on. She wanted to make sure no one was suspicious when she disappeared. The plan was for her to carry out the pregnancy with the help of the pack's healers. She knew the birth would be dangerous, and she wanted to be among wolves until she was sure there would be no complications. But there had been complications. I was born early, which Victor always said was a bad omen. The irony is it wasn't bad luck, but rather bad timing that became the undoing of my parents' plan. Vanessa was counting on more time to lay the groundwork and make her escape, but I arrived 2 months ahead of time. And she passed away less than a week later. When the letters stopped coming, I went to the Baines territory myself, traveling there in secret out of sheer desperation to see her again. I found out she had died, and there was no word of a new pack member or of Victor having a niece. I assumed our child perished with her. Of course, he did. He had no way of knowing I was born early, and he didn't anticipate the extent of Victor's cruelty. I was never viewed as a part of his family, never treated as a member of the pack. I was an illegitimate, nameless orphan. I would have fought my way through the Baines if I'd known you lived, he said slowly, an unnatural and deadly calm in his voice. I would have killed every last one of those wolves to find you. As I blinked up at him in between my tears and looked at my father, I knew he meant it. He smiled down at me sadly, tucking a loose golden strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers were cold against my skin, his touch almost ghostly. His wrath is different from Tristan's. When Tristan gets angry, he burns like the sun itself, and when he'd spoken about the Baines, he could barely contain the furious fire behind his amber eyes. But where Tristan is wild and fierce in his protectiveness of me, Marco is ruthless and calculating, his eyes cold despite their crimson hue. Tristan. The name slips out of my lips of its own accord. The thought of him hits me like a splash of cool water, and I stiffen in my father's embrace. Marco frowns down at me, the features of his handsome face drawing tight with concern. He looks ancient and lethal, and I quickly shake my head, trying to clarify. The rogue alpha from the territory you found me in. He's my mate. He'll be looking for me. Marco watched me as I pulled away from him, a curious kind of sadness darkening his gaze. I wonder what he thinks of the mating bond. Is he skeptical and suspicious about it like Tristan? Do vampires view the laws of wolves as silly or superstitious? Or does my father resent the bond? Does he regret that he could not be that for my mother? You are Luna of that peculiar pack, he asks carefully, and I can't help but smile in spite of myself. Yes, the Rovers are a peculiar bunch indeed. I cannot blame the Night King for being wary of them. I judged them once too. But I appreciate him not dismissing or condemning them outright the way others might, especially when they are not even his own kind. As far as first impressions go, Marco left much to be desired. But I'm beginning to get the sense that there is more to this mysterious man than just whispers and shadows, and bats. I'm still a little weirded out by the bats, honestly. And don't even get me started on the blood drinking. But we can circle back to that. Don't believe everything you hear, I mumble, the affection evident in my voice. The Rovers are more than they appear, and they have been good to me. But no, I am not their Luna. Things between Tristan and me are complicated. He nods thoughtfully. I suppose I should know better than most that reputations can be misleading, and rumors cannot be trusted. I am glad that these Rovers have been kind to you. They have, I agree. And they're probably worried sick about me right now. Tristan was already concerned after what happened during training and… Oh goddess. Tristan. He told me to wait for him. I promised I would never run away from him. Realization and horror begin to sink in as I imagine what he must be going through. The last time I vanished, he found me undressed and unconscious by the edge of the lake. Does he think I broke my word? Or did he assume I went back into the lake and drowned? 1,000 scenarios play through my mind in a matter of seconds, and not a single one of them is good. You have to take me back. Now. Chapter 9. The Night King's frown deepens, his jaw clenching with distaste at my demand. But I've only just found you, he protests. We have already missed out on so much. My baby girl is a grown woman, and I am a stranger to her. I lost Vanessa, and I will not lose you as well. Please. You don't understand. Lucy, Nico, Amara, and even Mark, they may not be my blood, but in my heart, they are the first family I've ever had. I know you, and I have already lost so much time together, I try to explain. Believe me, no one is more hurt by that than me. But you said it yourself, and I told you already, I am not a child anymore. I can't just disappear and start over like nothing happened. I reach out instinctively and take his hand, which is freezing to the touch and twice as large as my own. I'm glad you found me. Truly, I tell him, and I'm surprised by how much I mean it. There is so much I want to ask you and so much for me to tell you, but I can't just leave the rovers behind. I can't leave my mate. He narrows his eyes at me, curious but unconvinced. But you said you are not there, Luna, and this Tristan fellow has not mated with you. I wince. That's a delicate conversation. No, but they're my friends, and Tristan is my mate. You may be my father, but they're my family. Tristan hasn't marked me, but he cares about me. He's protected me, given me a home, and helped me grow. Whether it's official or not, it doesn't matter. I am bonded to him, and I will not abandon him. You have to take me back. There's a sudden change in the Night King's expression, and his scarlet eyes soften, a small smile playing on the corners of his lips. You love him. I pull my hands away from his as if he'd stung me, and I curse under my breath. I didn't say that. I hadn't even thought it. I had not admitted it to Marco or Tristan or even to myself. But as my father's words play over and over in my mind, I cannot bring myself to deny them, so I find myself answering almost unintentionally, my voice shaky with awe and unexpected certainty. Yes, I do. I really, truly do. I love him, I say softly, my cheeks still damp with tears. Even if he doesn't feel the same way. I know he does not trust the mating bond. He only brought me into his home for the sake of his pack. But I don't care. All my life, I've been denied a sense of belonging, but even with his own reservations about me, Tristan has treated me with kindness and respect. He is a great king to his pack of peculiar misfits and a good man, and I love him. Very well then, princess. Marco nods, a compassionate fondness softening his sharp features. It sounds like you have spent enough of your life trapped by others. I will not do that to you as well. You may not be a child anymore, but you are my daughter. I would like to do right by you, even if I am late to do so. Better late than never. Thank the goddess, first impressions aren't always right. Relief floods me, and while I knew he was my father even before he said it, this is the first time it feels true. This feels real. I have a family. I have a father who wants to do right by me. I have a mate that I have unintentionally and unwittingly fallen in love with. Thank you. The Night King inclines his head in a slight bow before offering me his hand. Although you will have to tell me all about this alpha of yours some other time. I do hope, for his own sake, that he has a good reason for not mating with you. My hand freezes in midair before I can take his. The mark. I was so caught up in the discovery of my parents' love story and my concern to get back to Tristan. I completely forgot about the bloody mark. Actually, he does. I say suddenly, unable to hold back my excitement. This is the final piece of the puzzle, and I can't believe I almost forgot it. There is one more thing I want to clear up with you before you take me back. Oh. He arches a brow. I pull the strap of the pastel blue sports bra to the side of my shoulder, exposing the mark. I can't believe I'm still standing here in my sports clothes. When I get back to the villa, I'm going to tell Lucy all about the adventure I had in the ridiculously aesthetic workout clothes she picked for me. This mark over my heart, I think it's some kind of spell. Whenever I try to get close to my mate, it hurts me. Last time the pain was so intense that I passed out from it, I explain, and my father's eyes narrow. We figure it had something to do with my past and my lineage, so can you remove it? There's a strange look in his eyes that makes my excitement fizzle out like an extinguished candle. He presses his lips into a thin line, his gaze reluctantly drifting up from the mark to meet my own. Your mother was worried something like this might happen, he says, shaking his head. Something like what? I can't keep the anxious edge out of my voice. I'm sorry, but that mark is not a spell, and it is not my doing, princess. It is a curse. I figured as much. It certainly felt like a curse. But if it's not because of my father, then why is this happening to me? In her letters, Vanessa mentioned having nightmares after she became pregnant. She said the moon goddess was angry. Celine's greatest gift to wolves is the mating bond, and your mother, and I disrespected that. We chose each other even though we could never be mates. I don't understand. So I'm cursed because my parents weren't true mates? It's not common, but it's also not unheard of for a wolf to defy the will of the goddess and mate with someone who is not their true mate. That sort of union is extremely rare and highly frowned upon, but I've never heard of someone being cursed for it. The confusion must be apparent on my face because my father goes on. Vanessa and I defiled nature itself. Wolves are children of moonlight, but nightwalkers are creatures of the dark. We were created of opposing magic, born to be enemies. We try to deny our connection, but I cared for your mother too much, and love made us both brave. I never thought something bad could come from my feelings for Vanessa, but your mother feared they would see our offspring as an abomination. Worse still, she worried the goddess would punish our sin. That's why she tried to stay with her pack for as long as she did. She thought being among wolves would help, and perhaps if our baby was born among her own kind, the goddess would spare the child. No, he can't be saying what I think he's saying. I've come too far, I've been through too much. So I was cursed from birth just for existing? I ask, my voice trembling from the tears that once again threatened to spill from my eyes. This mark, the pain it causes me, it's some sort of divine punishment for being a freak? I'm shaking, and my father brushes away my tears, his thumb cold against my flushed cheek. Do not say that, he says sharply. You are not a freak. You are the daughter of Vanessa Mawson and Marco Silas, Princess of the Night. You are more precious to me than any title or treasure, and I would give anything to make things right. None of what has happened is your fault, and you should not be made to suffer the consequences of my choices. But I have. So what? There's nothing we can do. I ask, my voice pleading. There has to be a way to fix this. I can't just be damned until the day I die, can I? Sweet girl, the gods are never fair and fate is rarely forgiving. I'm so sorry. So that's it. My parents desecrated the laws of nature, and in retaliation, the goddess cursed my heart so I'd be doomed to be without the one I love. It's a twisted sort of poetic justice. My mother could never mate with the man she loved. And, as it turns out, neither can I. Chapter 10. There are things that time cannot heal. It's been 3 days since I met my father by the lake that fateful night. 3 days since my life changed forever. The Night King offered to take me back to the Rover's territory. He explained that he could travel through shadows and warned that sunlight could be deadly to vampires. But I can't go back, and it has nothing to do with sunlight. It seems being a half-breed has its perks. I've always been a little extra sensitive to sunburns, but that's hardly the end of the world. Because of my mixed bloodline, I can walk under the sun as well as keep my calm under the full moon. My father suspects I would become stronger if I fed on blood, but due to my mother's wolf lineage, I can just as easily survive without it. So much has changed in such a short span of time, and I'm not sure I want to know what feeding would do to me. Maybe it would finally unlock the power within me, and I'd finally manifest a wolf. Or maybe giving in to that side of myself would kill the wolf within me. It's hardly an exact science, and no one like me has ever existed before. We have no way of knowing if feeding on blood would unleash my wolf or destroy it. Right now, I'm not willing to find out. Perhaps I never will be. There was once a time I would have given anything for this. I have a chance to access power unlike anything I've ever known. I'm living in a literal palace, and the Nightwalkers treat me like a proper princess, dutifully doting on my every whim. I know the truth about my past, and I finally understand where I come from and what happened to my mother. I have a father who adores me, but nothing is simple anymore. I asked the Night King if I could stay with him for a while until I figured out what to do about the curse of the moon goddess. He'd been delighted, but I remained unable to share in his joy. Marco is an odd character, to say the least. He is overly formal and proper, restrained even when he's emotional. Though he clearly cares about me deeply, and he's trying to foster a relationship with me, he's somewhat stern. Your parents are supposed to know you better than anyone, but we are strangers to one another. All these years that we never knew each other feel like a chasm between us, but to his credit, my father is doing what he can to build a bridge across it. He has done everything possible to help me feel at home in his kingdom, which is a stark contrast to that of Rover's. Rather than a patchwork mountain town, the Nightwalkers' territory is a citadel located on the highest mountains of Silvertooth Peaks. My father's palace is at the heart of the citadel, and while the outer fortress is seemingly impenetrable, the castle gates are always open. The members of his clan are perfectly polite, the members of his council calm and introverted. Life is peaceful here in a very different way than it was with the rovers. Nightwalkers are old creatures, and while the rovers have been forged by hardship and conflict brought on by the judgment of other packs, my father's clan has thrived in secrecy. Their lifestyle is ancient and unhurried. While they're as strong as a full-grown wolf and as fast as Nico himself, they seem to do things slowly. I suppose when you exist for as long as they have, life loses a sense of urgency. They're a subdued and scholarly species, especially compared to the heightened emotions of wolves, and they dedicate their time to literature, science, and philosophy. Because of their sensitivity to daylight, everyone goes to sleep at sunrise and wakes at nightfall. After weeks of waking up at dawn to train with Amara, my sleep schedule is an absolute mess. But I will adjust. I have to. Because the truth is, no amount of time will change what I now know. I've had the chance to speak to some of the wisest scholars in my father's court, and they've all confirmed my worst fears. The curse is in my heart, placed there by the goddess herself to deny me the gift that my mother had scorned. The mating bond. I could cut the crescent-shaped scar off my chest, carve the mark off my skin, but the magic would remain. The curse is tied to my very existence, and though my father promises he has the brightest minds trying to find a way to break it, he cannot hide the mournful truth in his eyes. There is no hope. So I decide to stay in the Night Kingdom, and I try to tell myself it's for the best. This life is better than anything I could have ever dreamed of while I was locked away by the Banes. And though the thought pains me more than I can express, I was never really a rover. After all, how many times did Tristan say that I was his guest? Sophie's vision was the only reason he brought me into his home in the first place. That did not make me a member of his pack, and it certainly did not make me his Luna. Tonight, the Nightwalkers will hold a ball in celebration of my arrival. My father will announce that I am the long-lost princess of his people, and I will be welcomed to the clan. I expect it to be a stunning but serene evening. But fine gowns and grand halls cannot fill the aching emptiness in the pit of my stomach. Tristan will never mate with me, even if he wants to let me in, and no matter how hard we both try to bring down our walls, we'll never be together that way. If we continue trying, it won't just keep hurting me. The curse could downright kill me. Besides, the goddess punished me for the love my parents felt. Who's to say she wouldn't punish my mate for resisting her penance? I might be willing to risk Celine's wrath, but I won't drag Tristan down with me. I won't let my own desire damn him. I can't. I can't selfishly hold on to the people I love, not if it risks hurting them. But I did not consider that even if I let go of the rovers, they would not let go of me in return. Chapter 11. The band plays a haunting melody that echoes around the grand hall of the Night King's palace. The music is nothing short of ethereal, with an assortment of strings and pianos that reverberate across the ball. Each note sounds slightly off-kilter somehow, as if the harmonies are intentionally asynchronous to create an eerie and dizzying tune. It's beautiful. Everything about tonight is beautiful. My father spared no expense in throwing the masquerade ball in my honor, and a tremendous crowd of vampires has gathered in his castle to celebrate. Many of them smile warmly as I walk past, and some even bow or curtsy, which makes an embarrassed heat flush my cheeks. My gown is something straight out of a captivatingly twisted fairy tale, with a deep red fabric that clashes against my pale skin. The elegant bodice is dramatic and fitted, accentuating my small waist, and the puffy sleeves droop off my shoulders. The sleeves themselves are long and billowy, with a fitted cuff secured below my wrists. The voluminous skirt flares out from the waist with multiple layers of different fabric that create a full and flowing shape that sways and swishes softly around me as I move through the crowd. My hair is pinned in a rose-shaped bun atop the back of my head, secured with little pins studded with diamonds and rubies. The gilded silver mask on my face is a work of art. In such attire, even a girl like me can feel like a princess. I'm like an infernal Cinderella clad in deep crimson that matches the shade painted onto my lips. A few members of my father's court dance with me during the slower songs, and I thank each of them for their patience as we awkwardly sway to the music. I repeatedly point out that I don't know how to dance, but no one of them seems to mind. They indulge in my clumsiness and awe with patience and politeness, and I can't help but feel like a dressed-up toddler in a room full of true royalty. The vampires are ancient and graceful, and they welcome me with poise and pleasantness that somehow neither feels forced nor condescending. They are perfect, and though my father assures me I will get used to their way of life, I can't help but feel like a fish out of water. I've never been to a ball like this before. The parties and celebrations of the Bane Pack are incomparable, and even then, I was never allowed to actually participate in any of them. I was a servant standing on the sidelines, and I never would have imagined being the guest of honor. I'd felt odd and out of place when I first arrived with the Rovers, but there had been a comforting sort of chaos in their way of life that made it easier to fit in. They were all outcasts themselves, after all, mismatched odds and ends thrown together to create a pack that lived by its own law. I shake my head, pushing those thoughts away. There's no sense in regret or nostalgia. This is my home now, and it's more than I ever could have asked for. I have to put the Rovers behind me, if not to protect my own heart, then for the sake of their king. I could never allow myself to endanger Tristan with my curse. Someone pokes my shoulder rather forcefully, and I jolt, startled. "Can I have the next dance?" a male voice asks from behind me. I let out a deep breath before smiling slightly to myself. "Marco, I already told you I'm a terrible dance." I nearly choke on my words when I turn around and find that it's not my father standing behind me, extending a hand out to me. The face is hidden behind a sleek black mask, but I recognize the curly black hair and burly build. I know those brooding gray eyes and the little dimple on that large chin. It's Mark. My eyes go wide and my jaw drops. What is Tristan's beta doing here? "Marco," he repeats the name with a scowl. "No, not quite." Close, though. Another voice pipes in, and Nico pokes his head out from behind Mark's bulky frame. I gasp. He wears a dark blue mask that highlights the glint in his eyes, and his messy red hair is not as tousled as usual, as if he's attempted to brush a comb through the ginger mop for the occasion. "I like the name Marco, don't you?" Nico asks with a grin, glancing over at the very unamused Mark. "It's like your name but fancier. Very classy." The redhead pushes his way past the beta, moving towards me with a bright smile that cracks my heart in two. I'm shocked, speechless, overcome by the sight of them, and when Nico pulls me in for a hug, I find myself sagging into his arms, returning his embrace. "Holy shit," I whisper with a chuckle, 1,000 emotions flooding over me. "I can't believe it. I thought I'd never see you again." Nico pulls away with a look of sheer joy. "Flower girl, did you just curse?" he asks with wicked delight. "Did you hear that, Mark? Our little flower girl learned some bad words while she's been away. These vampires have been a bad influence on you." I half giggle, half sob, still shaken by the surprise of their presence here. I never thought I'd feel so happy to see Mark again, though he certainly doesn't seem happy to see me. The beta stands with his arms folded over his chest, his ill-fitted suit too tight around those big arms of his. "Let's hope that's the only influence these bloodsuckers have had on her," he grumbles, and I shake my head in amazement. "I still can't believe they're here." "Look at you, Flower," Nico says suddenly, a hint of amazement creeping into his voice. "Red is a good color on you. You look like a proper rose. Tristan would lose his mind if he saw you like this." I feel my cheeks turn the same shade as my dress, and I take a step back from Nico, trying to gather my thoughts. "Look at me? Look at the two of you." I mutter. "How did you even get in here? What are you doing here?" "I was just about to ask you that very question," Mark replies coldly. Around us, a few people are looking in our direction, and there are whispers around the grand hall. "Isn't it obvious?" Nico asks, seemingly oblivious to the increasing number of nightwalkers that are now glancing toward us. "We're here to rescue you." "Rescue me?" "No, I'm not." I shake my head, trying to find the right words, but my heart is pounding in my chest, my head spinning. There are too many questions, too many emotions, too many risks. "How did you even find me?" "Are you kidding? I'm the fastest scout in Silvertooth Peaks," Nico boasts. "Not to mention the best tracker." I mean, sure, Mark and Tristan helped a little, but it was mostly me. I feel a breath get caught in my throat, and my lips quiver. "Is this Tristan here?" "No." I nearly had to tie him up to stop him from coming himself, but Amara finally made him see reason, Mark explains sternly. I let out a bittersweet sigh, though I cannot tell if it's from relief or disappointment. He's the alpha of the rovers, and he already stepped into enemy territory once for you, Mark goes on. He would have done it again if we hadn't talked some sense into him, especially after we realized this isn't an ordinary pack. The last thing we need is to start a war with a secret kingdom of vampires. Nightwalkers, I correct before chewing my lower lip anxiously. What? They prefer to be called Nightwalkers. And they're not a pack, they're a clan. Who cares what they like to be called? They're a bunch of blood-sucking monsters, Mark growls, his anger visibly bubbling up inside him. Why are we standing here talking semantics? They kidnapped you. We found you. Let's get this over with and go home already. This is it. This is the moment I've been dreading from the second I saw them. I knew it was coming. I know it has to be done. But that doesn't make it any easier. I plant my feet firmly on the ground and squeeze my eyes shut, finding my resolve before looking back at my friends and saying no. I'm not going back. I did not realize I'd found a home until I had to give it up. I did not truly feel real until now. I can never go home. Chapter 12. What do you mean you're not going back? Mark asks, his voice dropping an octave. Flower, I'm not sure you understand the concept of a rescue mission. You were kidnapped. We found you. Now we all leave together and live happily ever after, Nico says, but I shake my head. You don't understand. I wasn't kidnapped. Well, not exactly. I mean, I was at first, sort of, but then not so much. I'm not making any sense, and I'm growing increasingly aware of the whispers and glances in our direction. Do you understand her? Mark demands, glaring at Nico as if he expects him to translate my rambling. The redhead only shrugs, the confusion apparent on his face even though his features are concealed by the blue mask. The Night King invited me to stay in his court. This whole ball is to welcome me to his kingdom. I'm the guest of honor. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth. A part of me worries they'll fight me if I tell them why I have to stay. They'll tell Tristan what happened, and my mate will come for me. He'll fight for us to be together, and in doing so, he'll risk facing the wrath of the moon goddess. The other part of me is afraid that he won't. What if Nico and Mark find out I'm half vampire and suddenly they don't want to rescue me? If they ever saw me as a friend, this might be enough to make them see me as the enemy. The look of disdain and disgust on my cousin's face flashes through the back of my mind. Freak. Mutt. Half-breed. Abomination. If any of the rovers looked at me that way, it would break whatever was left of my heart beyond repair. Either way, it's safer for everyone if they don't know the whole truth. I have to hurt them just enough to save them. This isn't a rescue mission, Nico, I try to explain. Because I don't need rescuing. I want to be here, and I'm not going back. Hurt flashes across his bright eyes, and he looks over at Mark as if the beta might have some answer to my revelation. But Mark doesn't look hurt or confused. He looks downright furious, his gray eyes narrowing behind his mask, his muscles going tense. No. What? I ask, blinking back at him. I'm not sure what to make of his expression or the force behind that single word. I said no, Mark growls. Tristan risked his life to find you. He's been worried sick since you disappeared. You don't get to abandon him now just because some vampire king decided to throw a party for you. It's not that simple. I am supposed to be here. This court is where I belong, I protest, but it sounds pathetic even to my own ears. What are you talking about? Nico asks, incredulous, his voice rising. You belong with the rovers. You always have. That's why you were in Sophie's vision. Your fate is tied with Tristan's, and your destiny lies with the rovers. You can't just leave us. His words are an arrow in my chest. While Mark seems ready to combust, Nico looks at me like a lost little boy, like he cannot fathom why I wouldn't want to go with them, and he keeps waiting for this to make sense. Sophie's vision already came true, I say, and I realize with a start that it's not just an excuse. Her vision led Tristan to the Banes, and by bringing me to his territory, he brought me closer to my father. If not for Sophie's vision, I would never have found out the truth about my mother. Going with the rovers changed my life. It revealed what I am and rewrote my destiny. Think about it, I go on. Sophie never saw me as the Luna of the rovers. She never even saw me mated to your alpha. She just knew I was connected to your pack, and she was right. Marco would never have found me if I'd stayed with the Banes. The rovers are what led me here, to the Nightwalkers clan. This is my destiny. Bullshit, Mark hisses, drawing a few more worried looks around the ballroom. From across the hall, my father sits on his throne at the dais. How long has he been there watching me? Does he know what's going on? His face is carefully neutral, but his blood-red eyes dart between me and the two wolves. A few of the Nightwalkers look between their king and my friends, as if waiting for his command. My gaze flickers down to my father's hand, propped on the armrest of his throne, and a chill runs down my spine. His palm is facing forward, the gesture subtle but unmistakable. He's holding the Nightwalkers back, wordlessly commanding them not to interfere. We're making a scene, and I can't afford to let this escalate into a confrontation. Even if my father loved a wolf and his court is willing to accept a half-breed as their princess, vampires and werewolves are ancient enemies. It's in their nature to despise and destroy one another. Right now, my father's affection for me and his clan's respect for their king is the only thing stopping this room full of Nightwalkers from descending on my friends. You have to leave, I whisper to them, letting the urgency show in my voice. Like hell we do. I don't care if you'd rather be the Night King's diamond than the Rover's flower, Mark retorts angrily. It's not that simple. You're not safe here. You need to go, I insist, and Nico takes a step closer to Mark as he realizes how many Nightwalkers are watching us. The music is still playing, the celebration's still afoot, but even those who aren't looking in our direction are probably aware of what's happening. Everyone is waiting. I anxiously glance over their shoulder and lock eyes with my father once again. He arches a single brow in question. They're my friends. They just wanted to make sure I'm safe, I tell him through our mind link. They don't seem very friendly. They're just confused. They don't mean any harm. I'll get them to leave. Just let me talk to them. Please. From across the hall, my father nods almost imperceptibly, and his attention moves away from me to survey the other guests. The tension in the room is palpable, but he won't let anyone in his clan hurt me. He won't let them interfere. Thank you, father. Mark, we're not welcome here, Nico says cautiously. Maybe we should carry on this conversation elsewhere. There's nothing more to say, I insist. You're leaving and I'm staying. I know you don't understand, but this is how it has to be. Tell your alpha I'm sorry. Tristan, Mark says sharply, the world like a blow across my face. His name is Tristan. And he's not just our alpha, he's your mate. You're betraying your mate, and you can't even say his name. I am not betraying him, I snap back, surprised by the sudden edge behind my voice. I can't explain it, but this is what's best for everyone. He huffs, and Nico places a hand on his arm as if ready to pull him back if necessary. Tell that to the man who's been losing his mind trying to find you. He would risk everything for you, and you're just going to abandon him. I won't allow it. Why? I ask with exasperation, louder than I intended. The only reason he sought me out was to fulfill Sophie's prophecy, and that already happened. The Rovers now know about the Nightwalkers, and I know where I belong. There's no reason for me to go back. It's not like he believes in the mating bond anyway. He never wanted this. Hell, neither did you. I jab a finger against Mark's chest, a storm of exasperation, despair, and sorrow brewing inside me. You hated me from the moment you laid eyes on me. You never wanted me in your home, and now you won't have to live with me anymore. You should be happy. That's not true, Nico pipes in. He stops surveying the crowd that surrounds us long enough to meet my gaze. Tristan cares about you. We all do. That's why we came all this way to bring you home. I shut my eyes and chose my next words like a weapon, dealing the final, desperate blow. I'm already home. I force myself to open my eyes again, swallowing down the heartache. You are not my pack, and you are not welcome here. Leave now and never come back. Chapter 13. The shock and hurt in Nico's bright blue eyes makes my chest ache, but Mark only squares his jaw, shoulders tense. Tristan gave orders to find you and bring you back, so that is what I'm going to do. Whatever it takes, he says without wavering, and he reaches out to grab my wrist. But Amara taught me well. I twist in his grasp, digging my elbow into a pressure point in his forearm as I wring my hand free of his iron grip. He grunts from the sudden pain of my jab, but as I take a step away from him, I'm reminded that we are not alone. Before Mark can even think twice or try to come after me again, my father is standing in front of me. 1 second, Marco was on his throne, and the next, he'd crossed the hall as fast as a flash of lightning. He was so quick I didn't even see him move, but now he looms in front of me, one arm protectively extended as Nico comes to stand by Mark's side in a defensive stance. "Please, we don't want to fight," Nico says, his eyes darting between Mark, the Night King, and me. I can all but see the gears turning in his head as he tries to figure out how to talk his way out of this mess. "Flower, just come with us. Let Tristan see that you're safe and unharmed. If you want to leave and come back here, I'm sure he won't stop you. But talk to him. Please. Otherwise, he won't stop searching for you. He won't give up on you as easily as you gave up on him." His words cut deep, but that's precisely what I cannot do. Because the truth is, nothing about this is not easy. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and I'm afraid that if I go with them and see Tristan, I won't have the strength to do it. "I can't," I whisper, choking on the word. I don't have it in me to say anything else. Any lies or excuses would feel like shards of glass in my throat. I hate hurting them like this, and I know they don't understand. But if they knew, would they still fight for me? If any of them discovered the truth about what I am, would they still be willing to risk anything for me? Would Tristan risk his own life to be with me? There is no right answer, and there's no way we're all coming out of this without getting hurt. But at least if I push them away, they will be safe. At least if Tristan hates me, I can't curse him as well. "You are a long way from home, pup," my father says suddenly to Nico, his cold and commanding voice cutting through the chaos of my thoughts. "Best be on your way." "We're not going anywhere without her," Mark growls at him, and he steps forward to grab me again, but my father splays his hand across the other man's chest, pushing him back before the beta can reach me. Oh shit. My father's gesture was meant to protect me, but he doesn't know Mark. One shove is all it takes to ignite the anger that's been brewing in him, and his own defenses take over. Mark's wolf form tears out of him, and he shifts in a matter of seconds. Around us, the crowd shifts, and my blood runs cold as dozens of vampires turn their crimson gaze on the wolf in front of me with a feral hiss. The color drains from Nico's face at the sound, and I nearly stagger back at the sight of all those glistening, elongated fangs. "Stand down," my father says slowly, and the Nightwalkers obey, backing away and parting until a space has been cleared around Marco, the two rovers, and me. The clan will not interfere without the king's command. He is standing completely still, an unnatural calm washed over his features, and I suddenly understand why he calls me child. This man is ancient and deadly, more than I could even imagine. He could not save my mother, but he would slaughter kingdoms to keep his daughter. Mark bares his teeth, hackles raised, and black fur standing on end. Terror holds me in a place like an icy grip, but I have to do something. I need to stop this before they tear each other apart. "Father, please, don't hurt that." I try to send a telepathic plea to the Night King, but before I can finish forming the thought, Mark pounces at him. Everything happens so quickly. My father moves so fast, I can barely see what he's doing until Mark is thrown across the air. He lands on the ground with a yelp, sliding across the marble floor. Nico springs into action, shifting into his own wolf form and lunging in between the Night King and his injured packmate. But he's so small. Lucy once joked that Nico looks more like a scrawny fox than a proper wolf. I know he's quick and agile, but it won't be enough. Mark is already struggling to his feet, ears slicked back against his head. But in that moment, in a hall full of old and deadly creatures that would pounce on them in a heartbeat, the two wolves seem so fragile. Something buried deep within me snaps. Marco is my father, but these two stubborn idiots are my family too. In a single second, 1,000 thoughts flash through my mind. The little apologetic smile that Mark reserved only for Amara when she scolded him for his temper. The unyielding loyalty the beta had towards his alpha and what that must mean to Tristan. The way Nico's cheeks turned red when Lucy caught him staring at her, or the friendly smile on his face when he called me Flower Girl for the first time. I think of the Albion pack and how Hector loved Elaine even after she betrayed him, and the fact that she had to stand by and watch while her lover killed her mate. I think of Vanessa Mawson dying alone and afraid after giving birth to me, away from the man she loved and abandoned by her own family. Did she see the goddess's mark over my heart and know that I was damned? Did she fear what kind of monster her hybrid child would become? Or did she love me in that short time we had together? Feelings and memories flood me faster than I can process them, and they all consolidate into a single thought that consumes me. There has been enough killing. No one dies today, not because of me. My father raises his hand to strike Nico, and there is no time for words. A forgotten instinct stirs within me and snaps me into action. I don't even know what I'm doing, but everything sharpens into focus around me. I see Nico's eyes widen in fear. I see Mark struggle to get back on his feet to come to his rescue. I see my father move without hatred or anger, only cold and unyielding determination to defend at any cost. But as he pulls his arm back for the blow that would snap Nico like a twig, I find myself standing beside the Night King, yanking back his arm and sinking my teeth into his wrist. I feed, acting without thinking or understanding. My father drops down to one knee with a grimace as I bite down hard and drink, draining the strength out of him. It's not enough to kill him, but enough to weaken him. His eyes are wide and red, the same color as the blood that drips from my lips when I finally pull away. No one moves. No one speaks. As far as I can tell, no one even breathes as a stunned silence fills the hall. I look down at the king kneeling before me, and I drop his hand. Enough, I whisper, and though I meant for it to sound like a command, the word comes out like a plea. We are not enemies. No more fighting. No one dies. Please. I hold his gaze, hoping he can understand. Forgive me, Father. Slowly, the Night King rises to his feet without a word, his expression as unreadable as ever. I turn back to Nico and Mark, who are both watching me with horror and disbelief. I feel their eyes burning on my skin, lingering on the crimson droplet on my lips. The Rovers were the first ones who made me feel like I wasn't a freak. I was so afraid they'd look at the broken pieces of me and hate what they saw. I understand at last that I'm not a mutt or a mongrel. I'm a monster. But if that's what it takes to push them away and keep Tristan safe from me, then so be it. I'm sorry it turned out this way. But you two need to leave. Right now. I will not ask again, I tell Nico and Mark. And this time, they listen. Chapter 14. It's cold in the Nightwalker's territory, but I sit by the open window letting the chilled breeze knit my skin until it's rosy. After the commotion at the masquerade ball, my father dismissed his court, and I retreated to my room. It's large and lavish, with rich tapestries and a large, luxurious bed. Once I was alone, I slipped out of the magnificent ball gown. It fit like a glove when I first tried it on, but after everything that happened, I found myself itching to get out of it. I undressed and let the cold of the night wrap around me, needing to feel something other than the heartache crushing my chest. Once my heartbeat steadied, and I felt like I could breathe again, I wrapped myself in a warm, luxurious robe made of soft black velvet. Then I sat on the ledge by the window and wept. I sat there with freezing tears streaming down my cheeks until there's a knock at the door. I wipe my face with the back of my sleeve and stand as my father steps into the room, followed by a woman with sleek black hair and angular eyes. Her features are small and sharp, her skin the same unearthly white as my father's, and matching blood-red eyes. This is Helena, my father says plainly, wasting no time with greetings or other formalities. She is my trusted advisor and a skilled healer. I asked her to come and examine you. After the evening's excitement, I want to make sure you are unharmed. I push off from the little edge and rise to my feet, closing the window behind me before turning to face the woman who lingers patiently beside my father. What? Me? No, I'm fine, I say, shaking my head as the events of the masquerade replay in my mind. I wasn't hurt. You were the one that bled. I did not know vampires could feed from other vampires. Then again, I'm not like most. The Nightwalkers of my father's court fed on the animals and the wilderness. Since the citadel is so isolated in the mountains, they raise livestock to supply them with the blood they need to sustain them. Perhaps when I bit my father, I only drained the blood he'd consumed and not his own. I'm not sure how the mechanics of it all work, and frankly, I don't like thinking about it too much. I'm sorry, I say at last, my eyes stinging as tears threaten to spill from me once again. Marco, I'm so sorry. In the blink of an eye, the Night King is by my side, his thumb brushing over my cheek soothingly. He waves his other hand to dismiss the healer, and Helena nods without a word before leaving the room and closing the door behind her. Once we're alone, he says, you called me father before. I should quite like it if you continued to do so. His voice is quiet, and his violent eyes look uncharacteristically soft. The last of my resolve breaks under the tenderness of his touch as he brushes away my tears, and I wrap my arms around him, crying into his chest. Forgive me, father, I weep. He stiffens momentarily, startled by my embrace, and then he tentatively wraps his arms around me and hugs me back. Child, whatever for. You did nothing wrong. I pull away to look up at him through teary eyes, frowning in confusion. I bit you. I hurt you, I mutter, reaching for his wrist as if to point to the evidence of my crime, but when I slide up the cuff of his sleeve, I'm startled to find his skin is smooth and unmarked. You healed. Were you worried about me, sweet girl? Marco says, ignoring the healer as he peers down at me. The affection in his gaze softens the aching in my heart over what happened. You merely took me by surprise. You weakened me and startled me, yes, but you did not hurt me, princess. Not truly. You have nothing to be sorry for. So you're not mad at me? But the rovers were here because of me. All of this is my fault. Wolves protect their own. I cannot fault them for that. Nor you. You said these rovers are your friends. Yes, I say firmly. Even after everything that happened, I still believe that. Nico and Mark thought they were rescuing me, and I cannot blame them for what they could not understand. I can only imagine what this whole situation looks like through their eyes. I am the one at fault for not having the strength to tell them the truth. I don't trust myself to face him, to face Tristan. His name tastes like a broken promise on my lips, and I resist the urge to break down all over again. I've shed enough tears, and they won't solve anything. But I've never allowed myself to break down like this before. Back with the Banes, any sign of weakness was a weapon Oscar and Victor would use against me, but my father, stiff and awkward as he may be, he lets me cry. They thought they were rescuing me, I mumble, almost to myself. They cared for me. They're like my family. No, he says, shaking his head. His platinum hair cascades around his face, his voice gentle but firm. You are the daughter of the Night King, and yet you fed on me to defend them. I am your family, but those wolves, they're your pack. My pack. There was a time when hearing those words would have brought me nothing but joy. Just as they risked entering enemy territory to rescue you, you did what you had to save them. It is like I said, wolves protect their own. There is no judgment in his voice, and I realize he truly does not blame me for what happened. He does resent me for acting against him. He does not hate me for causing such chaos in his court. I realize in that moment how extraordinary my parents truly are. In a world full of hate, my mother and father found each other, and they found it within themselves to trust and care for one another. Nature and destiny created them to destroy each other, and yet they chose love against all odds. Even if it incurred the wrath of the goddess, there is beauty in that. Whatever fate I have been damned with, I cannot bring myself to resent them for it. I cannot bring myself to regret any of it. But I'm not one of them, I whisper sadly. I'm a full-blooded nightwalker like you, and I'm not a proper wolf like them. How can I belong with any pack? I can't mind link with anyone except for you. I can't even manifest my wolf and shift. Actually, I wouldn't be so sure about that, he says with a knowing twinkle in his eyes. What do you mean? You've never needed to drink blood because you are only half Nightwalker, and you never shifted because you are only half wolf. But tonight, you fed for the first time. I believe there is great strength and power locked away within you, just waiting to get out. Perhaps tonight, you took the first step towards releasing it. It's true. I've spent so long not knowing who I am, let alone what I am. I've been told over and over that I am broken, that I am defective and useless and wrong. But things have changed. I know where I come from, and for once, I get to choose what I become. At some point, I have to decide what I hold on to and what I let go of. All these tears I've held back, These words I've swallowed and left unsaid, these scars I've hidden. Maybe it's time I let the monster out. Chapter 15. It's been weeks, and I still haven't adjusted to the Nightwalker's schedule. My days and nights blur together. It's often misty and overcast, and the vampire fortress is so high in the mountains that sometimes I cannot tell the difference between the clouds above and the fog that often fills the citadel. It's early in the morning, and the sun barely starting to creep over the horizon. The sky is a curious shade somewhere between gray, black, and blue, and the last of the stars twinkle in the distance, clinging to the remnants of the night. Most of the clan is either getting ready to sleep or already lost in slumber, but I sit by the ledge of my window, watching color seep into the landscape. I haven't manifested a wolf as my father had hoped, but I do feel a shift since I fed. Something woke up inside of me, but I still can't bring myself to fully let it out. I've gotten too good at holding back. It's a survival mechanism that can't just get turned off. I suspect it will take time for the changes within me to fully take effect, but it feels closer somehow. I wish I could be more excited about it. There is still a part of me that cannot let go of what I found with the Rovers. I know that if it wasn't because of them, I never would have gotten to this point. If it wasn't because of Tristan. And now I'm close to shifting into my wolf form, and he won't be here to see it. Things were so much easier when I thought that was the only reason for us not to be together. A glint in the horizon catches my attention as the first rays of sunlight bounce on something in the distance. I narrow my eyes, noticing the sharpness of my senses. My father was right. There is power stirring within me. I can hear the rustling of leaves on the morning breeze and see the shadows and colors of the mountainside with new clarity. But there, somewhere in the forest that surrounds the fortress, something moved. Hidden between the trees, there are shapes that were not there the night before, and I frown, leaning out the window to try and get a better look. There, between the cover of leaves and stone, what is that? The Nightwalker's territory is at the peak of the mountain, a fortified citadel accessible only through a stone bridge built directly into the jagged landscape. The bridge connects the main gate over a chasm in the mountainside to the rest of the world, and the rest of the citadel is surrounded by impenetrable walls and a deadly cliffside. With a home like this, it's no wonder the Nightwalkers were able to live in secret for as long as they did, the rest of the world believing vampires to be nothing more than a myth of the past or a bedtime story to frighten misbehaving children. No one should be able to find them here. So why is there a tent pitched at the base of the fortress, hidden in the trees? And there, further behind it, where I saw movement earlier, there's another one. A sudden knock at the door startles me so much I nearly fall through my window, and I slide off quickly, heart pounding and head racing with questions. What's going on? A tall woman with ancient eyes and a solemn expression opens the door. I recognize her as my father's healer and advisor, Helena. Apologies, my princess, she says, nodding in greeting. I did not wish to disturb you at this hour. It's fine, I say quickly, draping a robe over my nightgown as I walk across the room to meet her. I was awake already. Couldn't sleep. What is it? Your father sent for you. It seems there is an army lurking at our doorstep. An army? I repeat, staring at her with incredulity. They've shown no intention of attacking, but the situation is delicate. It's best if the king explains it to you, princess. He is waiting for us in the war room. I'll wait for you just outside while you get dressed, and we can. No, I say, my voice soft, but stern as I push past her. Take me to him now. There is an army surrounding the Nightwalker's fortress. I just saw their tents in the forest with my own eyes. This is no time for propriety or prudishness. Nightwalkers may have an ancient, unhurried way of life, but I do not. I don't have time for vanity and pride right now. I need to know what's going on. I need to know if it's him. It can't be. Very well, princess, Helena says, and the corner of her lips twitches in approval. The Nightwalkers have a very subtle way of expressing their emotions, but I get the sense that she's pleasantly surprised by my reaction. A few months ago, I would have cowered in bed, hiding under the covers and stuttering so badly I could barely get a word out. I still stutter sometimes, and I still feel the fear that slithers up my throat like an icy snake. But it no longer paralyzes me. The memory of Tristan's voice echoes in the back of my head as I follow Helena through the halls of the castle. You fought for your freedom. You cannot blame yourself for what you didn't choose. Don't punish yourself for what you can't control. The only ones who should be ashamed are the ones who hurt you. You have the scars of a survivor, Flower. I am not the scared little girl that Victor pushed down and Oscar stepped on. I have been bullied, beaten, berated, and broken. I am the daughter of darkness, diamond of the night, and flower of the wolves. I'm more than my fear. Helena pushes open a set of double doors. On the other side, my father stands in the center of the war room in front of a large table covered in maps and other documents. He wears his usual black suit, but he's frowning. His perfect expression is uncharacteristically drawn. Father? What happened? I ask. Helena said there's an army around the citadel. Who's out there? My father sighs, reaching for a simple wooden box I hadn't noticed on the table. It's about the size of a shoebox, with no markings or labels. He offers it to me with concern glinting in his blood-red eyes. Wolves. No. It can't be. He wouldn't. What pack? I demand, breathless. But I already know the answer. Yours, my father says sadly, once again extending the box to me. No. 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 I knew the Rovers would be angry. I knew Tristan would feel betrayed. But I never imagined it would come to this. He was supposed to hate me, to be angry and hurt until time soothed the insult and injury of my choices. I thought when Nico and Mark saw what I am, or at least part of what I am, that it would be enough to make them give up on me. He was supposed to forget me, not fight for me. What is this? I take the box from my father, examining it. A message from the Rovers left at our doorstep. I assume it's for you. My heart beats so loud I swear the sound could fill up the room. I slide the lid off, and I feel as though that beating in my stops when I see what's inside. Inside the box rests a small bouquet of yellow tansies. He sent me flowers. But all roses have their thorns, and all flowers have their meanings. And these flowers, in particular, they mean war. Chapter 16. Tristan. I'd heard the stories of creatures that lurked in the dark, feeding on the blood of others. I learned from my time as a lone wolf not to take things for granted. The truth is always relative, and the impossible is just a matter of perspective. It did not surprise me when my scouts returned with a report that they'd discovered my mate's scent leading to a mysterious new territory high in the mountains. It did not shock me when my spies reported that the kingdom was filled with creatures that were only supposed to exist in scary stories. What did surprise me was the look in my Bada's eyes when he returned. Nico had seemed positively shaken, distraught beyond consolation. He looked like a wounded puppy, devastated by what happened in the vampire's castle. But Mark? I'd seen him angry plenty of times, but never like that. I don't know why or how, but they made her into one of them. Are you sure? I demanded. I watched her feed on the vampire king himself, Mark replied, something between fear and fury burning in his eyes. She did that to protect us, Nico protested, and I couldn't be sure who he was trying to convince. My council sat around the dining room table, our food untouched. She wouldn't have had to protect anyone if she had just come with us when we told her to, Mark retorted bitterly. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe they were forcing her to say that. Are you sure this Night King wasn't threatening her somehow? Lucy asked. No, she wanted to stay there. She chose to remain with those monsters. Goddess knows what else they'll do to her, Mark replied, his voice low and raspy. His mate set her hand softly atop his, something curious flashing over her exotic features. Careful, Amara said, a hint of teasing in her tone. Such fury and concern. You're starting to sound like you might actually care. Tell me, my love, do you have a soft spot for our little flower? He only growled angrily in reply, shooting her a threatening glare. Of course he cares about her, Lucy said with a snort. My brother may be an ass, but he's not heartless. We all care about her. She's our friend. It's true. It seemed that without meaning to, the girl made a mark on each of us. In her own quiet way, she carved out her place in my home and in my pack, and now, the house felt too large and empty without her. Even the garden seemed duller in her absence, with a few of the plants withering and the flowers only smelling half as sweet. Then why did she abandon us? Mark asked angrily. Why did she abandon her own mate? Lucy glanced at me and then lowered her gaze to her hands. We don't know the whole story, Nico protested cautiously. She attacked the Night King to protect the two of us. Why would she do that if she was one of them and not one of us? Perhaps she is both, Amara replied, and all eyes turned to her. Things are rarely black and white, and we know better than most that appearances can be deceiving. Perhaps her allegiances are torn. Or perhaps she was turned into a vampire against her will. She also said the ball being thrown was in her honor. She told us she wanted to stay, Mark huffed, sinking back into his seat. It didn't add up. None of this made any sense. All I knew was that I ached for her. I still do. Even now, as I stand on the edge of a precipice, watching the vampire's fortress in the distance, I can sense her. I feel the space between us and the absence of her by my side, and it's driving me mad. Maybe coming here was a mistake. If Mark's fears prove to be true, it's likely we're walking into a bloodbath. But from the moment Mark and Nico returned without the girl, I knew I would go back for her. There hadn't been any doubt in my mind, not for a single second. I brought an army to the doorstep of the vampire's kingdom, and I will not leave until I see her. If the vampires hurt her, then I will kill every last one of them. If she is truly one of them, and this is the home that she chose for herself, then I will see to it that she is safe in it. I will fight for her until my dying breath. It's strange to think that I'd been so afraid she would betray me, just as my Elaine betrayed Hector. I'd stayed away for countless nights, imagining all the ways in which such a small, sweet girl could destroy me. But I think I finally understand my father. At long last, I forgive him. I used to think he gave up in the end. I believed he was weak for loving my mother until it killed him, and I blamed him for letting go. But I realize now that there are things a man cannot walk away from. Whether it is because of the mating bond, some greater destiny, or just because of her. I don't care. I chose her. Whatever that means, and whatever it takes, I chose her. This nameless girl with her violet eyes and kind smile has consumed me. I can't shake away the softness of her touch, the curious awe in her gaze, the gentle caress of her lips on mine. There was such silent strength in her. I saw it the first time I met her when she fought back against her cousin. I saw it again when she took my hand and accepted an unknown future by my side. When she woke screaming from the nightmares of her past, she held me with such tenderness, such care. When she tended to the garden, she did it with pure joy, finding bliss in something so simple. Just when I thought she could not surprise me anymore, she bared herself to me, challenging me and drawing me in all at once. Her courage is written on the scars on her skin and in the hope in her eyes. Such hope. Even after everything she'd suffered. She'd survived. Just as Sophie had said, not only had the girl endured, she'd thrived. She'd blossomed. Like a haunting tide, every time something pushed her away from me, she pulled me back in. Now I cannot let her go. I see her eyes every time I close my own and hear her voice in the depths of my dreams. Tristan. My beta's voice pierces through my thoughts, and I turn to find Mark approaching me with a grave look on her face. Our forces are ready to move on your command, but we just received word from the vampires. Is it from her? Did the girl receive my message? What did they say? The Night King wishes to meet with you directly. He will wait for you at nightfall on the bridge that leads into the fortress. Any word from the girl? Will the king meet me alone? A meeting between two kings before the battle. It could mean anything. The vampire lord might try to discuss an alliance or a treaty, or he could just as easily challenge me to single combat. Doesn't say. It could be a trap, Mark grunts, but he knows just as well as I do that it won't stop me. You know your orders. Stand your ground and don't engage. If things go sideways, protect the pack and find the girl. Keep them safe, I tell him, and for once, he doesn't talk back or argue. Please don't go. You're not my enemy, Tristan Lyle. I want to be here, and I don't want to be scared anymore. Don't hold back. I will never run away from you, my king. Even if she broke her promise to me, I will not break mine to her. I will protect her from whatever comes next. Or I will die trying. Chapter 17. I can sense Tristan on the other side of the gates. Now that my senses have come alive and my body is changing after feeding, I can almost hear his heart beating on the bridge outside. As the gate opens, the cool night air hits my face, and I can feel my own pulse quickening. My father stands by my side, tall and imposing as ever. The tender, awkward man I've come to know and care for is buried deep beneath the cold and commanding expression of the Night King. He's asked to meet with the rogue Alpha. With any luck, this could be my only chance to clear up this horrible misunderstanding. I'm not sure what I'm going to say to Tristan yet, but if my encounter with Nico and Mark taught me anything, it's that the truth is better than even the most well-intentioned deception. Besides, I'm not sure if I could lie to Tristan even if I wanted to. I was startled and confused when Mark and Nico appeared in the Nightwalker's court, but this is different. This is my mate. If revealing everything to him makes him hate me, then so be it. If he wants to be with me even after knowing everything, then I will deal with that as well. The goddess's cursed mark is still there, a permanent reminder of what we can never have. Maybe telling him about it will be enough to end this whole mess. Maybe he'll understand why I had to stay away. All I know is that I can't let this go on any further, and I certainly can't risk war between my family and my pack. I clutch the yellow tansies in my hand as we step through the gate. The bridge that connects the mountains and leads into the fortress is an imposing and awe-inspiring structure. It stretches across a deep chasm, with nothing but a bottomless pit below. The bridge is made of dark stone, carved intricately with intricate patterns that seem to glimmer in the moonlight. The sides are lined with tall, sturdy columns, each one carved with the intricate details of twisting vines and snarling beasts. The columns rise high above the bridge, casting deep shadows over the narrow walkway. The sides of the bridge are also adorned with numerous torches, their flickering flames casting a warm glow over the dark stone. The sound of the wind whistling through the chasm echoes eerily, creating an ominous atmosphere that sends a chill down the spine. As we walk along the bridge, the sight of the fall below can be both breathtaking and terrifying. The darkness seems to stretch on for miles, and the sound of the wind seems to grow louder the closer one gets to the center of the bridge. On the other side, Tristan steps onto the stone structure. Mark, Amara, Nico, and Lucy stand behind him, lingering in the tree line. They stay back as their alpha walks forward to meet me, and my soul aches at the sight of them. How did I let it come to this? Enemies, standing on opposite ends of a bottomless chasm. My hands shake as I tighten my grip on the stems of the tansies so much my knuckles go white. This cannot become a war. All my life, I was alone, and now that there are people I love, I cannot lose them. No one can get hurt because of me. Let me talk to him, I tell my father through the mind link. He won't hurt me. You said those flowers in your hand were a declaration of war. You'll excuse me if I don't trust him, he replies, clenching his jaw. We're getting closer, my breath quickening with every step we take toward each other. He's stunning. His bronze skin is taut over his muscled body, and his shoulder-length chestnut hair is tousled. His golden amber eyes land on me, and my skin almost burns as he rakes his eyes over me, scanning me from head to toe. My blonde hair is pinned up, and I'm dressed in a practical yet refined ensemble, courtesy of the Nightwalkers. I'm wearing a dark red button-up shirt tucked into slim-fitting black pants. The shirt is tailored to perfection, and the sleek black leather boots that reach up to my mid-calf are polished to a high shine. The long, elegant black trench coat that drapes my shoulders flows behind me as I move. No sign of harm. He needs to know that I'm safe. I need to know that he's safe. Whatever happens, promise me you won't harm him. Child, Marco's voice echoes softly in the back of my mind, and he takes my hand in his. Father, please, I beg, stopping short. I won't take another step until he gives me his word, and I yank my hand away from his. Wrong move. Tristan watches our wordless interaction like a hawk, and I realize too late what it must look like to him. His eyes darken, and the shift happens too fast. 1 second, he's standing a few feet away from us on the bridge, and then his wolf tears through him, transforming while I watch in horror. Wait. No. No. He charges across the bridge, but my father is ready. Marco pushes me to the side, but I'm not the one Tristan is coming for. My father's shove sends me stumbling back to the ground before he lunges forward, closing the distance between him and my mate. Tristan's wolf form is even bigger than I remembered, his silky fur bristling with rage. My father's sharp, elegant features are twisted into a deadly grimace. Their species were destined to be enemies, locked in battle by nature and the will of the gods. Marco strikes against Tristan's charge, his movements graceful and swift. He darts forward to avoid my mate's fury, his hands outstretched like claws, but Tristan is just as fast to react. He leaps to the side, his massive paws slamming into the ground as he circles around my father. For a long moment, they're evenly matched, each one possessing incredible speed and strength. Marco is agile, darting in and out of Tristan's reach with ease. The wolf is powerful, his massive jaws snapping at the air as he tries to catch the nightwalker that skirts out of his reach. Stop. I watch in horror, picking myself up from the floor with a wince. The tansies are crumpled beneath me on the ground. Tristan, stop. It's not what you think. I shout, but neither one of them so much as glances in my direction. Everything is a blur of fangs and claws, and my stomach is twisted into a knot of terror. They're going to tear each other into pieces. I'm shaking. But then, Tristan sees his chance. My father hesitates for just a moment, but it's enough. My mate pounces. He slams into the Night King with the full force of his massive body, knocking him to the ground, his teeth lingering over his throat. Everything inside me is shaking, and there's a ringing in my ears as the final tether holding me back snaps. My skin feels like it's on fire, my bones aching as everything inside me rearranges. Enough. I transform then and there, shifting into a wolf with glistening white fur and glowing violet eyes. Chapter 18. And, just like that, the girl is gone. I'm a nightwalker. I am a wolf. I am not just something in between, but something more altogether. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. My senses are even more heightened than before, my instincts razor-sharp. I can smell the earth and the trees of the forest on the mountains, and sense the others hesitating on the edge of the bridge. I can hear the rustling of the leaves and the distant sounds of the Nightwalker's citadel behind me. I can feel the cool breeze on my fur, the hard stone ground beneath my paws. I look down at myself, and I'm amazed by what I see. My body has become lean and graceful, and my coat is thick and luxurious, rippling with every movement I make. My fur is pure white, glistening in the moonlight. My paws are massive, with sharp claws that could tear through anyone who might harm me. My ears are pointed, and my tail is thick and bushy. I can feel the strength and power of my wolf form coursing through my veins. I'm faster, stronger, more agile than I've ever been before. It's like nothing can hold me back anymore. Even more intense than the physical change is this sense that this power, this spirit has been inside me all along. All it took to let it out was accepting my vampire heritage enough to feed on my ancestors' blood, and then watching my mate and my father locked in a deadly battle that threatened to destroy them both. Go figure. I lunge forward, shoving Tristan off Marco as my father rolls to the side out of the way. We tumble over each other, entangled in one another. My mate locks eyes with me, and we are violet and gold. I feel it then like I never felt it before, the bond between us, our minds at long last linked. When I speak to him through my thoughts, I know he can hear me. You can't kill him, Tristan. He's my father. We stagger apart only to circle each other for a moment, his gaze trained on mine. My words seem to take a moment to register, and Tristan shakes his head, a shiver running over his fur as he glances over at the Night King behind me and then back at me. Your father, he repeats, his voice a dazed rumble that reverberates through me. Even after he was defeated, one blow away from death, my father manages to hold himself with a degree of grace. He rises to his feet in a single, swift motion, dusting off his suit as he watches us intently to see what happens next. Are you a wolf or a vampire? My mate asks, and I'm surprised by the genuine curiosity behind the question. Some of the anger seems to have drained out of him, replaced by astonishment and sheer confusion. I think I'm both. He stops circling me then, watching me then for a moment and drinking in the sight of this new form. You're beautiful. My heartbeat quickens, a hunger building within me. Wolves, I realize, have even less restraint than humans. Adrenaline mixes with desire, and I cannot tell whether he is going to tear me apart or make me whole. Marco takes a step forward in my direction, and my mate lets out a deep, warning growl. Tristan, I plead. I don't want to fight you, he replies slowly, his voice low as he returns his attention to me. Then why did you declare war? I ask it without thinking, the question slipping out almost of its own accord, and I know from the way he winces that he can feel my hurt behind the words. I know I betrayed you by leaving like that, but the Nightwalkers have been good to me. They don't. I didn't declare war on the vampires. His thought cuts through my own like a hot knife sliding through butter. His tail flicks in frustration, ears twitching. I quirk my head to the side, and this time I'm the one that's confused. But the yellow tansies, I reply, glancing over my shoulder at the petals crushed on the stone bridge. They were meant to be a warning, not a threat. War is coming, little flower, but I am not the one who is starting it. I don't understand. A red rose or tulip means love. Begonias mean beware. Yellow tansies mean war. I thought I was an expert in deriving meaning from flowers, but perhaps I misinterpreted. What was he trying to tell me? Before I can ask him, my father clears his throat in that polite, awkward manner of his, buttoning up his jacket and straightening himself out. I believe a truce is in order, he says out loud, his tone unnaturally calm and controlled, considering he was just engaged in battle against a werewolf that almost tore his throat out. We all have a great deal to talk about, and I may not trust you, King of Rogues, but I trust my daughter. For her sake, you and your friends are welcome to join us in the castle. No combat, just conversation. Tristan's eyes narrow as he looks between my father and me. He doesn't know what to believe, and neither do I anymore. I thought I was protecting the people I love. I thought I was doing the right thing, but somehow I only managed to make things worse. No more. Please, my king. Tristan. Let me make things right. I know I don't deserve your trust, but I am asking you for it nonetheless. Give me a chance to explain everything. Marco sighs, sensing Tristan's hesitation. I swear on my daughter's heart and on my honor as Night King, no harm will come to you and your friends in my court. That is, so long as you don't try to kill me again. The golden-eyed wolf huffs in response, as if to say, fair enough. From behind him, a familiar, high-pitched voice calls out across the distance, and I almost smile to myself on the inside. Are you guys done with the fighting and intense staring? Lucy yells from the other side of the bridge. The Rovers' inner circle has been watching from the sidelines, waiting for orders from their leader. But it seems they are tired of waiting. Nico is getting cold, and I have questions. Mark gives his sister an angry shove to silence her, and even from this far away, I can hear Nico chuckling. I look back at Tristan and feel myself relax as his expression softens. The worst is over. Now we talk. Now I tell him the whole truth. Now he gets to decide what comes next for us. No more holding back. Chapter 19. In the aftermath of the excitement on the bridge, Tristan and his inner circle are allowed into the court of the Nightwalkers. My father graciously gives everyone some time to collect themselves, which includes me shifting back into my human form. The change comes easily, intuitively, but even as I return to my old body, I can still feel the effects of the transformation. Whatever shifted inside of me goes beyond skin deep, and in my human form, I can still feel the spirit of my wolf. It settles within me, a wild animal making itself at home inside my soul after a lifetime in dormant captivity. Helena brings me a new outfit after my transformation shredded through my old clothes and informs me that the Rovers have been given a room in the castle. They have been provided with food and water as well as warm clothes. Once we're ready, we are to gather in the war room to discuss, well, everything. I thank the Nightwalker healer with a small smile before she leaves. Before getting dressed, I walk over to the window of my room. Outside, the forest is still littered with tents filled with an army of werewolves that are ready for a battle I hope will never come. I shut the window and examine my reflection in the glass, feeling a pang at the sight of the crescent-shaped mark on my chest. I've changed a lot in the past few months. My sandy blonde hair is longer, going down to my waist, and there's a healthy shine to it I never had while living with the Banes. My skin is still pale, but there's a healthy glow to it, and there are no longer dark circles under my eyes despite the confusing sleep schedule of the Nightwalkers. My hunger-panched frame has filled in after my time with the Rovers, and while I still have a small frame, I'm no longer skin and bone. Instead, There are soft curves along my body and muscles from my training with Amara. But the damned mark is still there. All the growth and healing with the rovers, feeding for the first time, manifesting my wolf, none of it was enough to erase the curse that was tied to my very existence. With a sigh, I slip into the clothes Helena brought. This time, the Nightwalkers provided me with a sleek woman's suit with a jacket that was tailored to perfection. It has a slim, single-breasted silhouette that hugs the curves of my body, the fabric soft and comfortable. The pants are similarly sleek and streamlined, with a straight leg and a high waist that flatters my figure. The fabric is stretchy and breathable, allowing for ease of movement. Black, just like my father's. Once I'm dressed and feeling as composed as I'll ever be, I make my way to the war room, where my father waits outside the closed doors. Are they all inside already? I ask, my heart thundering in my chest. Facing Tristan on the bridge and seeing the others in the distance had been one thing. But the thought of being properly reunited with them made my heart ache. I did not know if they will be happy to see me or if they will hate me for all the trouble I've caused. Not all of them, my father replies cautiously, watching me closely for a reaction. I thought you might want a moment alone with your rogue alpha first. Once you're ready, you can call out to me through our link, and I'll send for the others. Thank you. I nod politely and move towards the door, but I hesitate. After a moment, I turn to face my father, this strange, elegant, immortal creature that nearly died for me less than an hour ago. When I was a little girl and I still dared to dream of a family, I used to try to picture what my parents were like. Oscar and Victor had eventually beaten such fanciful thoughts out of my head, but I could still remember the image in my mind. The Night King is nothing like it. His blood-red eyes are too old, and the rest of his face too young. He's too stiff and stuffy, and there is still so much we don't know about each other. But he loves me. He understands me as much as he can, and he trusts me, even if it's reluctantly. He respects my choices, and he truly wants to do right by me. No, Marco Silas is not at all the kind of father I might have imagined once. He's better than that. He's real. He's mine. I reach out and grab his icy hand and squeeze it softly, hoping he knows how grateful I am. He smiles sadly at me, his gaze flickering down to the place over my heart where the mark is concealed by my clothes. I am sorry that my love cost you yours, child, he replies softly, letting his hand slide out of mine. Take as long as you need. I turn away from him and head into the war room, glancing out at my father one last time before closing the door behind me. He knows that I have to face what comes next alone. Well, not completely alone. Once I've shut the door, I turn to face my mate. I could sense him across the room, but I still suck in a breath when I see him. His hair is even messier than before, chestnut strands framing his chiseled jawline and accentuating his sharp features. The Nightwalkers have given him new clothes as well. Every inch of his muscular frame is sheathed in black, from his fitted button-down shirt that clings to his broad chest and powerful shoulders to his sleek black pants that hug his strong thighs and emphasize his muscular build. From the first moment I met him, I thought he was the most handsome man I'd ever seen, rugged and graceful all at once. But dressed in the Nightwalker's signature black, I can't decide if he looks like a mysterious, dark prince or the sinfully attractive bad boy of a romance novel. He looks at me with that concerned, appraising sort of skin I've become familiar with, like his amber eyes need to take in every inch of my body. Well? Say something, I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Tristan. His name is like a prayer on my lips, but before I can muster up the apology I've been trying to formulate in my head from the moment I saw him on that bridge, he storms across the room, closing the distance between us. He throws his strong arms around me, pulling me into an embrace with such force that I nearly stumble forward into his chest. For a second, I'm too stunned to move or speak, and I just stand there with a lump in my throat as he hugs me tightly. His body is warm and solid against my own, and it wraps around me like I was made to fit into him. I breathe in his scent of honey and smoke, melting against him and returning his embrace. I don't know how long we stand there, clinging to each other as if our lives depended on it. I can feel his heart beating through his shirt, a sound that seeps into my skin and echoes my own. A tear slides down my cheek, and I bury my face into his chest. "I'm sorry," I whisper, and the words start tumbling out of me. "I'm so sorry. I didn't run away. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean for any of this. I know I didn't come back, but I just wanted to protect you. I'm sorry. I'll explain everything, but I didn't run away from you." "For fuck's sake, Flower," he says suddenly, his voice soft and breathy as he pulls away to look down at me, something tender and almost playful dancing in his eyes. "I thought I'd told you to stop apologizing so much." I blink up at him, unable to fathom the affection in his gaze, and he brushes his thumb across my cheek, gently wiping a tear away. I'd been prepared for anger. I'd brace myself for distrust and disdain. But this, I don't know what to do with this. I did not come here because I resent you or blame you. I never have. Frankly, I don't think I'm capable of it, so please stop asking me to forgive you. Okay. I nod obediently, stunned into silence. He leans forward, resting his forehead against mine. His breath is warm against my skin when he speaks, the heat spreading quickly within me. "I missed you, little flower," he says slowly, his voice a low rumble that makes my toes curl. He tilts his chin, his lips brushing softly against mine, and my breath catches in my throat. Only the knowledge that this curse could kill us both is enough to make me turn my face away. He frowns, and I take a deep breath, clenching my eyes shut. I can't trust myself to look at him. "I missed you too. You cannot imagine how much I missed you. You have no idea how." My voice cracks as my fingers dig into his shoulders. Whether it's to hold him back or to steady myself, I cannot tell how much I want you. But, how I hate the word but. Chapter 20. Tristan. The relief of having her back in my arms is short-lived. After a moment that seems to stretch out for an eternity and simultaneously ends too quickly in the blink of an eye, the girl pulls away. She looks up at me with those haunting violet eyes, and there is such intensity behind them that I do not protest. "I'm going to tell you a story, and it's not going to make a lot of sense at first, but I need you to listen until it's finished. Once it's done, I hope you will understand why I did what I did. In the end, you will see why I am sorry and why I cannot have you," she says slowly, and my brow furrows when her gaze flickers down to my lips with resignation. "No matter how much I want you." She takes my hand, and I let her guide me over to the large table in the center of the room. She takes a seat and motions for him to join her, but I merely move to stand across from her, leaning back against the edge of the table. There's too much energy pent up inside me, and I watch her wordlessly, waiting for her to say what she needs to tell me. She takes a deep breath and starts her tale at the very beginning, laying out the truth for me. Many years ago, a wolf named Vanessa Moss met a nightwalker called Marco Silas. She tells me the story of a kind woman and how her ambitious older brother dragged her into a conflict that would change her life. She tells me of the vampire king that fell in love with Vanessa and that she loved him in return despite their differences, and how her tyrant brother eventually became the alpha of the Banes. I listen patiently, stoic and silent, as the girl explains the secret affair and the lovers' plan to elope when Vanessa discovered she was pregnant. But their carefully crafted hopes fell apart after the premature birth of their daughter, and the father was left to believe the baby had perished along with her mother. There's a trace of guilt in the girl's eyes when she talks about the complicated labor and Vanessa's death, and it makes something inside me burn. From there, the tale takes a turn for the worse. She brushes over the most painful parts, and I cannot tell if it's too difficult to talk about or if she does it to spare me the details of her horrific upbringing. But I have seen the scars, and just when my anger is twisting my stomach into a knot, her expression changes suddenly. "And then this stranger arrived at my cousin's mating ceremony," she says, a soft smile dancing on the edge of her lips. Her eyes grow distant with awe, lost in the memory. "He was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. He radiated strength, and he was unlike anyone I'd ever met before. But all I'd ever known was the cruelty of those in power, and even though he offered me his hand and gave me a choice, I couldn't forget my fear. That fear followed her even after she left the Banes. But slowly and surely, the nameless girl began to change. She talks about how stunning the Villa du Lac seemed through her eyes, and how different this new pack was from the life she'd always known. Her voice catches when she describes the impact of seeing the garden for the very first time. She speaks with such tenderness and wonder that I can scarcely believe this character in her story is me. I watch regret darken her eyes when she talks about that night she pushed me away after her nightmare. At the time, I'd believed she thought of me as a monster, and I feel like a fool for not seeing the truth. She wanted to let me in, but the pain in her heart didn't let her. Each time we got closer, each time I'd reached out for her against my better judgment and she'd pulled away, it had been because of that curse that ran through her veins. She tells me about the strange voice that called out to her in the lake and how she feared she was losing her mind, even as she found herself thriving in a new home. I couldn't make sense of it, she says softly, shaking her head. Then the curse kept pulling us apart, and she became determined to find answers. I don't think I fully expected to actually find them. But there they were, clad in darkness, in the way I'd least expected. She explains how her father first appeared to her, and how he stole her away when she was far enough from the protective spell of the villa. He thought he was rescuing me, she says with a soft chuckle. It seems to be a recurring theme, hurting each other in an attempt to protect each other. It was just one misunderstanding after the other. But the Night King agreed to bring her back to me. He would have dropped her off back at the edge of the lake if she hadn't remembered to ask about the mark on her chest. I didn't want to believe it, she mumbles softly as she explains her father's revelation. I wanted to think that he was lying about the curse. But I knew. I could feel the truth of it in my bones. I would have gone back anyway, but it wasn't just my life at stake. That's why I had to stay. I thought if you believed I'd run away that you would hate me. Maybe you'd even forget me. It sounds too absurd to even say out loud, but the sadness in her eyes stops me from arguing. I finally knew what I was. I finally knew where I came from, and I didn't care if it made me a monster. I spent most of my life believing I was a mutt anyway. But I cared about the Rovers. More than anything else, I cared about the curse, and I did not trust myself to contain it if I went back. Glistening tears fill her eyes, and she blinks them away almost angrily, turning her face away from me, as if she didn't want me to see. I couldn't let this curse hurt the one person who'd changed everything for me. I couldn't let it destroy the man who showed me I was brave and not just broken. I just couldn't. I can't let it kill the man I love. She closes her eyes, a tear trickling down her cheek as she refuses to look at me. Everything inside me feels hot and sharp, and there's a hollowness in my chest that only she can fill. I've been worried about her, confused by her, captivated, frustrated, enchanted, charmed, betrayed, and saved by her. This nameless girl with violet eyes has consumed me. Her soft voice, curious hands, tender smile, and even her scent of her, like jasmine and vanilla, are intoxicating. I know that what she has just revealed should horrify me. But I used to fear she thought of me as a monster or a brute. Knowing that she has wanted me all this time, even a fraction of how much I've wanted her, it does something to me that borders on dangerous. I'm drunk on desire for her, and all I want to do is drag my fingers through her hair and turn that pretty face toward me. I wanted to save you from all of this, to save you from me, she says softly. I tried to let you go. I told myself you only wanted me because of Sophie's prophecy. The curse, the wrath of the goddess, the matin. Bond. Forget the mating bond, I growl, the words slipping out of me before I can rein them in. She finally whirls to look at me, her plump lips parted slightly in surprise. Forget the mating bond and fuck the curse. I stand, leaning forward and grab the chair by her backrest and turn it to face me, my hands on either side above her head as I loom over her. She looks up at me without a trace of fear or dismay. The way she looks at me with a mixture of curiosity, amazement, and utter surrender makes everything inside me go taut, her eyes fluttering down to my lips as I speak. I want you because I love you. Chapter 21. Heat rises within me as Tristan leans forward, tucking a strand of loose hair behind my ear before trailing his finger down my jaw and then tilting my chin to face him. I close my eyes, holding back the torrent of emotions that threatens to drown me. Little flower, look at me, he says, his voice gentle and commanding at the same time. So I do. I meet his gaze, and my breath hitches at the desire burning in those amber eyes that look like molten gold in the flickering candlelight of the war room. I reach a tentative hand around his neck, his own still gripping the chair behind me as if physically holding himself back. When I move, his own resolve wavers and his arms wrap around my waist, pulling me onto my feet so I stand pressed against him. We're trapped between the table and the car, but neither one of us moves away. His hands glide down the small of my back before tugging me closer, and I pull myself toward him with my fingers entwined behind the nape of his neck as we crush the air between our bodies, cursing the things that keep us apart. He's warmth and strength and courage and comfort, and I hate how perfectly I fit against him. He leans down, our temples touching as our faces rest against each other, turned away, and I know he won't risk kissing me now that he knows it will hurt me. In that moment, I love and hate him for that. More than anything, I just want him. What can I do? He asks in a low rumble. But there is nothing to be done. He can't fix this. Neither one of us can, no matter how much we may want to. You can't, I whisper, and we hold each other in the silence that follows. But then there's a noise outside the war room, and the doors swing open. My father storms in, his pale face contorted in distress. I've never seen him like this before. I'm about to ask him what's going on, but then Marco's eyes land on my mate. Gather your council, Wolf King. Your army has sent word. We're about to have company, he says sternly. I slide out from behind the chair, feeling cold and empty from the absence of Tristan's body against my own. What are you talking about? He's coming, isn't he? Tristan asks my father, and I blink in surprise, looking back and forth between them as they exchange a long, hard look. What am I missing? Who's coming? I press. It seems the rogues aren't the only army in our woods, my father says with a sigh, and all of a sudden, he seems so tired. He's always been impeccable and ageless, but now he looks so old. Victor Mawson is coming for me once more. This time, it seems, he's brought his entire army. I've heard the expression, my heart stopped before, but I swear in that moment, I felt it. I feel the ground falling away beneath my feet, like a deer in headlights, punched in the gut with shock, frozen in disbelief, blood running cold in my veins, and all the other clichés, metaphors, and expressions that describe utter and complete horror. They all suddenly feel very, very real. What? I nearly choke on the word. I tried to warn you, Tristan says sadly, and I turn to face him with wide eyes. Yellow tansies. A proclamation of war. Tristan said they were meant to be a warning, not a threat. The Banes are coming? I'm not sure who I'm asking, but I already know the answer. They will be here by sunrise, my father says with an almost apologetic shake of his head. So we kill them all. I hear Mark's angry voice right before he turns the corner and steps into the war room behind my father, followed by Amara and Nico. So I take it diplomacy is dead, Amara huffs disapprovingly. Lucy walks in a moment later, and when her eyes land on mine, she shoves past the others and throws herself across the room to me. I run to her and meet her halfway, though she nearly tackles me to the ground with the force of her hug. You bitch, she mutters in between laughter and tears as she holds me tightly. I was worried sick about you. Don't you ever scare me like that again. I return her embrace wholeheartedly, smiling as she scolds me. I'm so sorry. I won't. She pulls away to survey me, scanning me from head to toe, and then looking at Tristan over my shoulder. You guys look like you're dressed for a funeral. Don't get me wrong, you both look great in black, but what is it with these nightwalkers and their fashion? Are vampires allergic to color or something? I missed you too, Lucy, I laugh. Helena walks in, glancing at the rovers with mild amusement before composing her solemn expression and looking back at my father. My king, you were right. They are not alone. She's right, Tristan says, and any trace of joy vanishes from my face as even Lucy's expression falls. We've been monitoring the Banes for the past few days. It seems Victor has been forging alliances with some of the other packs in Silvertooth Peaks in order to grow his forces. Slowly, my father walks up to the large table in the center of the room. He looks between my mate and me and then pulls out a chair and takes a seat. Helena follows suit, taking a chair across from him. The Night King watches Tristan as my mate joins them, and I take the other seat beside him. One by one, we all sit at the table, and I can't shake the sense that history itself is holding its breath, watching and waiting to see what happens next. A council of 4 werewolves, a rogue alpha, 2 vampires, and a hybrid. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Our scouts were not the only ones who were able to track my mate into your territory, Tristan explains. Although we did manage to find her first, Nico points out. It seems a spy for the Bane Pack discovered that the girl was taken in by vampires, Mark says with a glare. It seems Victor has been keeping an eye on the Nightwalkers over the years without anyone knowing. Of course. Victor tried to take on the Nightwalkers a long time ago and failed miserably. It should come as no surprise that he's kept tabs on the foe that bested him. My clan has a history with the Banes. I suppose I should have known that one day Victor would return to try and finish what he started, my father replied. But why now? Because of me, I say suddenly, my fists clenching. It was one thing when his slave was tossed at the feet of outcasts. It's another thing when a king who once defeated Victor gets his hands on something that is his. His pride would never let that slide. Tristan places his hand atop mine, his fingers curling into my own to ease some of the tension. You were never his. I certainly wouldn't put it past Victor to start a race war just to soothe his ego, Amara says carefully. But what if it's not that simple? She meets my questioning look with a small smile before glancing toward my father, bowing her head respectfully. Tristan filled us in on some of the details. Hope you don't mind. Good. I'm not sure when Tristan found the time to mind link with his council, but it's better that they all know the truth. Especially if there's truly a war on the horizon. My father feels the same way, and he waves his hand dismissively. Victor is many things, but a fool is not one of them, Amara starts. Debatable, Nico and Lucy both say at the same time, but Amara politely ignores them. What if he finally put the pieces together? When he discovered his niece was taken in by Nightwalkers, he might have realized her connection to them. What if it revealed his sister's affair? Why else would the Night King adopt a mysterious wolf girl into his court? It's certainly possible. Revenge, pride, ego, blind hatred, ambition, pettiness, they're all perfectly good reasons for a man like Victor to start a war. But the bottom line is that he's coming and he's brought friends, Mark says with a sigh. As we all know, people fear what is different, Amara adds. It wasn't too hard for Victor to convince other packs to lend him their armies once he revealed the threat of the Nightwalkers. Many believed that your species was extinct or purely legendary. But they know enough to be scared, especially with the stories the Banes have been circulating. Victor describes Nightwalkers as abominations that threaten the very existence of wolves. So it doesn't matter why he's doing it. What matters now is how we stop him, Mark adds, exchanging a knowing glance with his mate. Tristan is the one to reply, looking evenly at my father as his grip tightens on my hand. We stop him together. Chapter 22. Are you sure about this? I ask Tristan, unable to keep the concern out of my voice. My daughter is right, Marco adds. I am grateful for everything you have done, and I appreciate the support, but this is not your battle. If you go now, there is still enough time to get your army out of these woods and away from this fight. All due respect, Your Majesty, Nico says, shifting in his seat with a sly smile. But why do you think you're here? The flowers, the Pack's army, the rovers didn't come here to punish me or fight me. They did it to protect me. Even when they believed I'd betrayed or abandoned them, they came all this way to fight by my side. I turned to Tristan, testing the link between our minds that I first felt when I shifted and looked into his eyes. I know our connection is not nearly as strong as it might be if he marked me and we actually made it, but now that I've manifested a wolf, maybe it's strong enough that he can hear me just as my father does. You're my king. But I am not your Luna. You don't have to do this. None of them have to do this. He turns to face me, and I know from the glint in his eyes that he heard me. He doesn't seem surprised. My little flower, always so unassuming. I told you once I would tear the Banes into pieces if they tried to hurt you again. Did you think I was lying? I shake my head, but before I can protest further, he brings my hand to his lips and kisses the backs of my knuckles, his lips on my skin making my mind go blank. My mate, my fight, he says softly. Then he lowers my hand and turns to face the rest of the council gathered. We all have our own reasons for wanting Victor stopped, but this isn't just personal. If Victor defeats the Nightwalkers, he will be the most powerful alpha in history. How long before he turns his attention to the Rovers? He hates all outcasts. If he wins, none of us will be safe. To my surprise, Helena is the next to speak, something shimmering in the healer's eyes. I've never seen a Nightwalker look emotional that way. She sits with her head held high, her shoulders squared, and her voice quiet, but there's a vulnerability in her crimson gaze that I did not expect. I believe each one of us at this table has suffered in one way or another, because we were different. Nightwalkers have lived in secret for years because of that. The very things that make us dangerous have made us prey. She pauses for a moment, her attention going around the table as she looks at each of us before turning back to my father. I, for once, am tired of hiding. If the wolves will stand with us, it would be my privilege to fall among them. The flower is one of us, Lucy chimes in, and I'm surprised when her brother nods in agreement. Besides, we're the pack of outcasts and misfits. The Nightwalkers are basically family. We fight for our own and for others like us who were never given the chance. She's right, Amara says. Our indolence would be complicity. If we let men like Victor Mawson destroy this kingdom, then we deserve whatever his tyranny brings next into ours. She means we're in, Mark adds. All of us chose to be here. The same goes for our brothers and sisters waiting to join us in the woods. Just say the word, and we'll fight by your side. Personally, I can't wait to kick some Bane ass. I turned to my mate one last time to ask, you're sure? There will be no turning back. He smiles at me, a hint of sadness in his eyes when he answers just for me, there never was. Not for me. Not when it comes to you. But if it helps you to hear it, I'm sure. We all are. Then it's decided, I say, turning back to the rest of our council. You have my thanks and that of my clan, Rogue King, my father adds. There's no need for it. Tristan shakes his head. Just tell me what we can do. What to do indeed. Now that all the sappy parts are done with, let's talk strategy. We do have a plan, right? Lucy asks. We could barricade the entrance of the fortress and block off the bridge? Helena offers. Victor and his allies will never get across the chasm. If we seal off the bridge, we condemn our allies in the woods. Even if we move the Rovers' army into the fortress, a siege will not end well. My father is right. The army coming for us can wait us out. The truth is that Victor has had years to prepare. Hell, he's had the better part of his life to figure out how to take down the Nightwalkers after failing against them so miserably in the past. He'll be prepared to wait. Eventually, the Nightwalkers will need to hunt. Even with the livestock and resources in the Citadel, vampires need blood, and there won't be enough resources for the Rover army if we house them as well. We need access to the forest. Besides, wolves don't exactly do well in confined spaces. Even with the best of intentions and a sincere alliance, locking a bunch of werewolves and vampires in a castle for an extended period of time seems like a recipe for disaster. Between the full moons and the eventual bloodlust. No, a siege is not an option. We've hidden from the rest of the world for long enough. If our enemy is coming for us, then we will face them, but we should get Rover forces across the bridge. You'd have the battle happen on the doorstep of your own city? Why not face them in the woods? Mark asks my father with uncertainty. We cannot risk the weather, Helena replies solemnly, and many of the Rovers frown in confusion. Sunlight, I explain. With a bit of luck, the mist and clouds will give us enough coverage for the fight, but the Banes will be arriving at dawn. If the sun is out, the Nightwalkers will be at a disadvantage against the wolves. They will have to stick to the shadows, and they'll need the cover of the Citadel. The castle was designed to cast a shadow over the village during the brightest hours of the day, and everything inside the fortress was meant to provide coverage. This fortress of stone was designed to withstand the ages. It was built with blood magic, and it will outlive us all, my father says gravely. It will provide shadow and give us the opportunity to thin out the Bane's forces. We will have higher ground when they cross the bridge. We can pick them off as they try to enter, and even once they've breached the gates, they won't be able to fit an entire army through at once. It will give us an advantage against their numbers. We can evacuate anyone unwilling or unable to fight to the central square in the village. The enemy will have to get through all of us and the entirety of the keep before spilling innocent blood, Helena adds. But if we lose the fight, we'll have nowhere to retreat, Nico points out. If Victor manages to take the castle, then we all die in the dark, and there will be nothing to stop him from destroying the village anyway. Then we do not retreat, Amara says. We will not run, and we will not hide. Victor won't stop, so we do not retreat. We do not lose. There is something final about her words that makes the room go silent. Mark and Tristan exchange a look, and I can tell my mate is giving his beta a silent command. Mark nods at his king and stands. I'll get our army on the right side of the bridge and prepare for battle. My father sends Helena with him to gather the Nightwalkers. They will join the wolves and tell the rovers what they need to know to navigate the fortress. The fight must start at the bridge and end before it gets to the city, with most of the battle taking place along the wall and the inner bailey of the castle. If it comes to it, we lead the enemy to the heart of the keep and make our final stand there. I turn to my mate, my hand still in his. Together. No siege. No chance of retreat. No escape. War is really coming, and we will either win or die. Together.